The truth about online comments. Have you ever wondered why people say things online they would never say in person? It's a strange thing, isn't it? When you read comments on a video or an article, sometimes they feel different. They can be sharp, mean, or just plain weird. Here's the thing about online comments. They often show a side of people that stays hidden in real life. Think about it. When you're talking face to face, you see expressions, you hear tone of voice. There are unspoken rules that guide how we speak to each other. We naturally try to be polite, or at least understandable. But online, a screen acts like a shield. For a long time, even ancient thinkers understood that people act differently when they feel unseen. They called it anonymity. When you can't be easily identified, some people feel free to say whatever comes to mind, without thinking about consequences. It's like being in a huge, noisy crowd, where you can shout anything and know that no one specific will point you out. In a small group, you'd be careful what you say. In a massive crowd, it's easier to just yell . So, when you see a harsh comment, it's rarely about you, or even truly about the topic. It's often about the person writing it, and the freedom they feel behind their screen. It's a tiny peek into human nature, and how we behave when the usual rules of society feel a little bit looser. Understanding this can change how you feel when you read those comments. They're just words, often shouted into the void. They say more about the shouter than about what they are shouting about, and that's why it matters to think about this. It reminds us that what's on a screen isn't always the full picture of a person or the truth itself. It's just one small part of our complex human experience, played out in a digital space. Why some friends aren't really friends. Have you ever felt a pang of confusion when someone you called a friend suddenly wasn't there for you? It's a strange feeling, isn't it? Like a puzzle piece that just doesn't fit. The truth is, sometimes, what we call friendship isn't always deep. We meet people, we hang out, we share laughs, and that's good. But true friendship, that's different. It's built on something deeper than just shared activities or convenience. Even ancient thinkers, like a really smart guy named Aristotle, thought about this. He broke friends down into types. There were friends for fun, or utility friends, who you hung out with because it was useful or entertaining. Then there were friends of virtue. Those virtue friends were the real deal to him. They liked each other for who they truly were, flaws and all, not just for what they could get from each other. This kind of friendship was about genuinely caring for the other person's well-being, even when it wasn't easy or fun for you. Think of it like a shadow. A shadow is always there when the sun is shining brightly. It follows you, mimics your moves. It looks like you, right? But when the light fades, or the sun goes behind a cloud, the shadow disappears. It's not really with you in the dark. Some friends are like that shadow. They are there for the good times, for the laughter, for the easy moments. But when things get tough, when you really need someone to stand by you, they vanish. They weren't there for you, the person, but for the easy situation or what you could offer. So, here's the thing. Understanding this isn't about becoming cynical or distrusting everyone. It's about understanding the real value of true connection. It helps us see who truly has our back, who celebrates your wins and sits with you in your losses. And that's why it matters to recognize the difference. It teaches us to seek out people who see you, truly see you, even when the light is dim. It also reminds us to be that kind of loyal, understanding friend for others too, building bonds that last beyond the sunshine. How advertising really works. Have you ever stopped to wonder why some products just feel right to own? Or why certain ideas about what's cool seem to spread like wildfire? It's often not accidental. It's part of a very old, very clever system called advertising. This system isn't just about showing you things to buy. It's about shaping what you feel and what you believe, often without you even realizing it. It gently guides your thoughts, aiming to create a sense of need or desire for something you might never have considered before. Think about it. Thousands of years ago, a baker might just stand in the marketplace yelling, "Fresh bread, get your warm bread here." That was direct. That was about informing. But over time, people realized something profound. If you could connect a product not just to its use, but to a deeper human desire, like happiness, belonging, or a feeling of being safe, you could influence choices much more powerfully. It shifted from simple information to subtle persuasion. This idea that our feelings can be nudged has shaped modern advertising into a complex art form. Here's how it works on a psychological level. Imagine a popular soft drink. When you see an ad for it, you often don't just see a bottle or a can. Instead, you see friends laughing together, people enjoying a sunny beach day, or someone having a thrilling adventure. The ad isn't selling you sugary water. It's selling you the feeling of joy, connection, or excitement. Your brain then starts to link that specific drink with those positive emotions. So, the next time you're thirsty, or even just feeling a bit down, that drink might pop into your mind. It's not because you truly need it, but because your feelings have been quietly, cleverly nudged in its direction. This isn't to say advertising is some evil force, or that you're constantly being tricked, not at all. It's simply a fundamental way information and desire are crafted and shared in our world. But understanding this process, knowing that thoughts and feelings can be carefully placed, lets you look at the world a little differently. It gives you a quiet power, the ability to pause and ask, is this truly my own desire? Or has someone else shown me how to want it? And that, truly, is a valuable question to carry with you through life. That feeling when your favorite movie has flaws. Have you ever loved a movie so much you felt it was perfect? You watched it countless times, you knew every line, it felt like a part of you. But then, one day, maybe you watched it again, or someone pointed something out, and you saw it. A plot hole, a silly special effect, an actor who wasn't quite right, that tiny crack in the masterpiece you thought was flawless. Here's the thing, it's not just about movies, it's about understanding that nothing, truly nothing, is ever perfect. For a long time, people have thought about how knowledge changes us. Ancient thinkers, like a Greek philosopher named Plato, suggested that sometimes we live like we're watching shadows on a cave wall, believing they are real. But then we turn around and see the true, messy world, and it's not always what we expected. That deeper sight, that clearer view, can be a little upsetting when it applies to things we cherish. Think about it like this. Maybe you have a favorite toy from when you were little. It was everything to you. But now, if you look at it, you might see the faded colors, the missing pieces, the way it's not as strong as you remember. It doesn't mean you love it less. Not really. It just means your understanding of it has grown. You see it for what it truly is, imperfections and all. This kind of understanding, seeing the flaws in what we once held up as perfect, can feel like a small loss. A little piece of magic might fade. But here's what I found. It also makes your love deeper. You're not loving a perfect idea anymore. You're loving something real, something that has its own struggles and imperfections, just like all of us. And that kind of love, the one that sees and accepts the whole truth, is often stronger and more meaningful than the love for something that only exists in our dreams of perfection. It's a quiet truth, a soft whisper that everything, even our favorites, carry both light and shadow. What's actually in processed food? We see them everywhere, bright and colorful on store shelves. But have you ever really stopped to consider what's inside a box of breakfast cereal, or that instant noodle cup? It feels like food, but often, it's something quite different from its original form. Processed food. At its heart, is any food that has been changed from its natural state. Now, humans have always processed food. Our ancestors dried fruits, salted meats, and fermented grains. These were simple ways to make food last longer, to get through lean times. It was about survival, about using what nature gave us wisely. But over time, especially in the last 100 years, processing became less about simple preservation and more about industrial manufacturing. It became about making things cheaper, faster, and giving them an incredibly long shelf life. Here's the thing. When you take, say, a humble potato and turn it into a potato chip, a lot happens. That potato is cleaned, sliced thin, and then usually deep fried in oil. But then, to make it last and taste a certain way, they add things. Salt, yes, but often sugars in various forms, artificial flavors, colors, and preservatives. These are substances designed to trick your senses, to make you crave more, and to keep the product stable for months, even years. It's no longer just a potato. It's a complex chemical cocktail, engineered for profit and convenience, and that's why it matters. When we understand this, it's not just about what we put into our bodies, it's about understanding the systems around us, how our world is designed, often without us even realizing it. It's a quiet realization that much of what we call food has a hidden story, a transformation far beyond what nature intended, and that quiet understanding can change how we see everything, making us pause, reflect, and perhaps ask deeper questions about the choices we make. The secret behind magic tricks. Have you ever really stopped to think about magic tricks? Not just how did they do that, but why does it work on us? You watch a magician make a coin vanish or a person float. For a moment, your mind believes the impossible. Here's the thing. The secret isn't actual magic. It's much more interesting. The trick is about understanding how our brains work. It's about how we see things and how easily our attention can be steered. Magicians are masters of human perception. They don't defy physics. They play with our focus. They know where your eyes are looking versus where your brain is paying attention. This matters. For a long time, people have been amazed by illusions. Ancient cultures had their own tricks, sometimes to explain the unexplainable. Philosophers, too, wondered about what's real and what's just appearance. Magicians, in a way, are practical philosophers. They show us our senses can be fooled. They understood, long before scientists, that our minds take shortcuts. Here's how it works in daily life. Think about an optical illusion. You see a vase, you shift your gaze, and suddenly it's two faces. The image hasn't changed, but your brain's interpretation has. Magic is like that. The magician does a hidden action while drawing your attention to something else. Your eyes see the misdirection. Your brain then fills in the magic explanation because it missed the real move. So, the real secret isn't a spell. It's a quiet lesson about our own minds. It's a reminder that what seems obviously true might be built on a clever understanding of how we perceive the world. It teaches us to gently question what we see, and it helps us appreciate that reality often has more layers than we first imagine. This is a pretty deep kind of magic. Why homework never ends. Have you ever finished a big assignment, only to feel like another one just materializes out of thin air? It's like the finish line keeps moving. You might wonder, will this ever truly end? Here's the thing. That feeling, that sense of a never-ending stream of tasks, isn't just about binders and textbooks. It's a quiet hint about how understanding itself works in our lives. Our minds are built to learn and explore, and the world is always unfolding new things for us to discover. Think about people from long ago, like the ancient Greek philosopher Socrates. He was super smart, but he famously said something like, "I know that I know nothing." What did he mean? He understood that the more you learn, the more you realize how much more there is to learn. Each answer you find often leads to even bigger, more interesting questions. It's a bit like learning to play an instrument, say the guitar. At first you learn a few chords. You think, okay, I got this. But then you find out about scales, and different songs, and new techniques, and then complex music theory. The deeper you go, the more possibilities you see. You never truly finish learning the guitar because there's always more to explore, new sounds to create, and different ways to challenge yourself. Homework, in a way, is a tiny glimpse into this bigger idea. Each lesson, each problem, is like a small step on a really long road. It teaches you something, but it also shows you how much more there is to explore down that path. This isn't to say the work isn't hard sometimes. It is. But the never-ending feeling isn't a bad thing. It's a reflection of curiosity, of how our minds are always reaching out, trying to make sense of the vast, amazing world around us. So maybe, when you feel that familiar sigh about more homework, remember, it's part of a much larger, incredible journey of discovery that never truly stops. And that, in itself, is a pretty cool thought. How much things actually cost? Have you ever really stopped to consider what something truly costs? Not just the number you see on a price tag. That number is only part of the story. Think about a brand new video game. You pay money for it, yes, but beyond that simple exchange, what else went into creating it? Someone spent years coding, designing characters, composing music. Their time, their effort, their skills, these are costs, often hidden. This isn't just about money. Every single choice we make carries its own hidden cost. Long ago, before money, people traded goods. If you had extra grain and your neighbor had extra wool, you might trade. But even then, there was a deeper, unseen cost. How much hard work did it truly take to grow that grain? How many long days did your neighbor spend tending sheep and shearing wool? It was always more than just the item. It was the human effort poured into it. Ancient thinkers explored this idea, wondering if we truly grasp the full value of things, or what we give up to gain something. Think about your daily life. Imagine you spend an hour scrolling through videos on your phone. You're not spending Money, right, but what is the true cost of that hour? It's the hour you didn't spend reading a book, talking with a friend, or learning a new skill. It's the experiences you missed because you chose one path. So when we look at anything, whether it's a new object, or just how we choose to spend our afternoon, there's always much more to it. There's the visible price, but there are also the unseen hours of work, the resources used, the time spent, and other possibilities that disappear. Understanding this deeper cost can shift how you view the world. It makes us think about what we truly value and what we exchange for it. In all parts of our lives, it's a quiet truth that echoes in every choice we make. The noise your house makes at night. Have you ever just stopped, late at night, in the quiet darkness of your room, and truly listened? Not to music, not to a show, but to the house itself. You hear the soft groans, the sudden pops, the low creaks, maybe a gentle sigh from the floorboards. For a long time, these noises can feel a little spooky, like the house has a secret life. Or maybe someone is moving around when everyone is asleep. Here's the thing, understanding what those sounds really are can sometimes be a bit unsettling, even more so than imagining a ghost. It's not a mystery in the way old stories might have told. What you're hearing is your home, a huge solid structure, constantly reacting to the world around it. It's like when you put a hot drink down and the ice inside crackles as it cools and shrinks, or like a metal bridge that gets a little longer in summer and a little shorter in winter, making tiny creaking sounds. Your house does this too, but much slower and quieter. Materials like wood, metal, and plaster expand when they get warm and contract when they get cold. This happens every single day and night. As the temperature drops after sunset, your house slowly, subtly shrinks, pulling on its beams and walls. This movement creates all those pops and groans. Think about how ancient people must have felt. They didn't have science to explain thermal expansion, so they might have imagined spirits, or that their homes were truly living things, breathing and settling around them. But here's the quiet truth of it. The house is not alive, and there are no spirits making those sounds. It's just the steady, unending work of physics. And that's why it matters. It reminds us that even the most solid things we know are always changing, always subtly responding to the world around them. It's a quiet truth, a reminder that nothing truly stands still. Everything is in a constant, gentle dance of reaction and adjustment. Why small talk is sometimes necessary. Have you ever felt that little sigh inside when you know you have to make small talk? It feels pointless, right? Why talk about weather or food? But here's the thing. Small talk isn't about the words. It's about something deeper, truly human. Think about our earliest ancestors. When they met someone new, safety was key. They couldn't jump into serious questions, so they shared small bits of information, maybe about a hunting trail. These simple chats were quiet signals, ways to test the waters. They helped build trust, or figure out if it was safe to stay nearby. It's similar today. Imagine you're new at school. You don't walk up to someone and ask about their biggest fears. That's too much, too fast. Instead, you might say, "Cool shoes," or "Did you understand the homework?" These are small, easy ways to open a door. It's like gently tapping on a window. These little interactions are like the tiny threads that hold a strong fabric together. They might seem invisible, but without them, it falls apart. Small talk is a quiet art. It's how we acknowledge each other, how we build tiny bridges. It's a way of saying, "I see you, I am here, and I am open to connecting, even just a little." It warms up the space between us, making it ready for something real. It's not about grand ideas, but simple, gentle beginnings. It lays the groundwork for conversations to come. How much effort goes into simple tasks? Have you ever stopped to really think about the things you do every day? The stuff that seems completely simple, like just walking across a room, or picking up a pencil. We do these things without a second thought. They feel easy, but here's the thing. Are they truly simple, or do we just forget how much hidden effort goes into them? Long ago, thinkers and philosophers would often wonder about the world beyond what meets the eye. They knew that even the most ordinary things might have countless unseen layers. For them, a simple action wasn't just a simple action. It was a dance of invisible forces, tiny movements, and complex connections. They thought about how much we don't see, how much is working beneath the surface of what seems easy. Consider something like tying your shoelace. It's something most of you probably mastered years ago. You just loop, cross, and pull. It's quick, but remember what it was like when you first learned. It felt impossible. Your fingers fumbled, the laces tangled, and your brain was working overtime. That's because, even though it seems simple now, it required your brain to learn fine motor skills, hand-eye coordination, memory for steps, and problem solving. All that effort was poured into mastering this one everyday act. And even now, when you tie your shoe without thinking, your brain is still sending thousands of precise signals to your muscles, processing what your eyes see, and keeping your balance. It's a tiny, complex ballet happening inside you every single time. So, when you next do something you consider simple, take a moment, notice the quiet, intricate work happening. It's a gentle reminder that nothing is ever truly as plain as it seems. And sometimes, understanding the hidden effort behind the simple things can make you see the entire world with a bit more wonder. The hidden dangers of too much screen time. Have you ever thought about the quiet cost of staring at screens for hours each day? It's not just about tired eyes or a stiff neck. It's about something deeper, something that shifts quietly inside us, often without us even noticing. Here's the thing. Our minds are designed to explore, to interact with a vast, messy, and real world. For thousands of years, humans learned by looking around, by touching, by listening to stories told. Face to face, our brains grew strong by being fully present in the world, processing complex sights and sounds and feelings all at once. But here's the problem. Today, a glowing rectangle often holds our gaze for long stretches. This constant focus on a small, controlled world can change how our attention works. It can train our brains for quick hits of dopamine, making it harder to appreciate things that unfold slowly, like reading a book or watching clouds drift by. Think of it like this. If you spend all your time looking through a window, you might see many interesting things. You might learn about places far away, but you won't feel the sun on your skin, or the wind in your hair, or the ground beneath your feet. You won't truly experience the world outside the glass. Too much screen time can make us less connected to what's happening right around us. It can make the real world seem less interesting, less vibrant. Our attention is a precious thing, like a muscle. When we constantly feed it quick, bright flashes and endless streams of information from a screen, we might weaken its ability to focus on the quiet, slower rhythms of life. We might find it harder to just sit with our own thoughts, or to notice the subtle changes in nature, or to truly listen to a friend without feeling the urge to look away. It's not about screens being bad. They offer so much, but it's about understanding what we might trade away when we give them too much of our most valuable resource, our time, our presence, and our deepest attention. We might regret not spending more time simply being in the real, unwired world, not truly seeing the faces of those we love, or feeling the quiet peace of a moment where nothing is demanded of us. That some people just aren't fair. Have you ever noticed how sometimes things just don't feel right? Like when someone gets something they didn't earn, or avoids consequences they clearly deserve. It's a feeling that settles deep inside you, a quiet sense of injustice. We all have this built-in expectation that life should follow certain rules, that effort should be rewarded, and mistakes should lead to lessons. But then, you see someone act in a way that just isn't fair. They might take credit for your hard work, or get away with breaking a rule that others follow, and it makes you wonder, why? This idea that fairness isn't always guaranteed is an old one. Thinkers for thousands of years have wrestled with it. Even way back in ancient Greece, philosophers like Aristotle talked about justice, not just in big laws, but in how people treat each other every day. They understood that human nature can be tricky. Some people might only look out for themselves. Others might not even see how their actions impact others. It's not always about being evil, but sometimes about a different way of seeing the world. Or maybe just a lack of care. Consider a group project in school. You and your friends work hard. Everyone puts in hours researching and writing. But then there's one person who barely contributes. They skip meetings, offer weak ideas, or just copy-paste from the internet. Yet, when the project gets a good grade, they get the same credit as everyone else. That feeling, that's the regret of understanding that fairness isn't automatic. It's a choice some people make, and some don't. It's a tough truth to swallow. The world isn't always balanced. People don't always act with an equal heart. But knowing this can change how you move through life. It teaches you to protect your own efforts, to speak up when you see something wrong, and to appreciate the fairness you do find. It's a quiet understanding that helps you navigate a world that sometimes feels off-kilter, reminding you to be the fair person, even when others aren't. Why everyone argues about politics. Ever wonder why people get so worked up talking about politics? It can feel confusing, like they're just fighting. But here's the thing, politics isn't just shouting on TV. It's about how we decide to live together. It's about the rules we follow, how we share things like schools or hospitals, and what we think is fair. For thousands of years, people have argued about these ideas. Who gets to decide? What makes a good society? Is freedom more important, or making sure everyone is equal? There are no easy answers, because different people see the world differently. What one person thinks is a great idea, another might see as wrong or unfair. Imagine your friend group picking a movie. One friend wants action, another comedy, someone else horror. Everyone thinks their choice is the best, not just for them, but for the group. They each have a good reason for their pick. They might even get heated, because they believe their movie will make everyone happiest. That's a bit like politics, but on a bigger scale. People are trying to decide what's best for millions, and their ideas don't always line up. So, when people argue about politics, it's because they care deeply about what our community, our country, or even the world should look like. They see different problems, or believe different things will fix them. It's not about wanting to cause trouble, it's about their vision for a good future. It reminds us that figuring out how to live together is one of the oldest and most important challenges humans face. It's okay to have different ideas, as long as we remember we're all trying to build something better. The real reason you feel tired sometimes. Have you ever felt totally worn out? Even after a good night's sleep, your body feels fine, but your brain just wants to shut down. Here's the thing, that tiredness isn't always about sleep. It's about how much your mind has been working, how much it's had to understand. Think about it. Our brains are always on, taking in stuff. Every conversation, picture, new idea, it's all information, and your brain sorts through it, making sense. When that information is complicated, confusing, or heavy, it takes more energy to process. Ancient thinkers understood this idea. They knew seeking wisdom, learning deep truths, could be a heavy burden. It wasn't always easy. It could make you feel thoughtful, but also weary, like carrying a big load. Just knowing certain things, or grasping big ideas, could be exhausting. Imagine trying to learn a complex strategy game, like chess, for the first time. You're just sitting there, but your brain works overtime. Every move, every possible outcome, you're trying to hold it all. After an hour, even if you haven't moved, you feel drained. That's your mind flexing muscles you didn't know it had. Or maybe you've spent an afternoon thinking deeply about a friend's big problem. That mental effort can make you feel as tired, as if you'd run a mile. So, when you feel that peculiar tiredness, the one sleep doesn't quite fix, maybe it's your mind telling you it's been busy understanding. It's a sign you're growing, making sense of the world, even the hard parts. Sometimes, the kindest thing is not to sleep more, but to let your mind rest from understanding. Just be, for a little while, without needing to figure it all out. How germs are literally everywhere. Have you ever really stopped to think about what's on your phone screen? Or that doorknob you just touched? We clean things, but even the cleanest surface isn't truly empty. Here's the thing, germs are everywhere. Not just in dirty places, but on everything. They're invisible, tiny living things, like bacteria and viruses. They are so small you need a powerful microscope to see them. They live on your skin, in the air, on your desk, and even inside you. For most of human history, people had no idea about this invisible world. Sickness was a mystery. They thought it was bad air or bad luck. They didn't know tiny creatures could make you sick. It wasn't until scientists, like Anton van Leeuwenhoek in the 1600s, started looking through early microscopes, he first saw these animalcules, tiny living things. Later, people like Louis Pasteur helped us understand how these tiny things caused diseases. This truly changed everything. The world suddenly felt less empty and much more full. Think about your backpack. It sits on the floor at school. You pick it up, then maybe touch your face. In that simple action, you've moved millions of tiny, invisible passengers. Every surface, every person, every breath, they all hold countless microscopic lives. Your hands, no matter how often you wash them, are always carrying something. From the last thing you touched, This isn't about fear or obsession. It's about a deep, quiet realization. Understanding that germs are literally everywhere changes how you see the world. It's a deep truth about how connected everything truly is. Our bodies, the surfaces we touch, the air we breathe, it's all a complex, shared ecosystem, full of life we can't see. It makes you realize that even when you feel alone, you are part of an unimaginably vast, invisible community. It's a humbling thought, how much unseen life moves around us. It reminds us that we are never truly separate from the world. The future of the planet feels heavy. Have you ever felt a weight, not on your shoulders, but in your mind, about something really big, like thinking about the whole world and what comes next? Here's the thing, understanding the future of our planet can feel incredibly heavy. It's not just about knowing facts like temperatures rising or ice melting. It's the feeling that comes with those facts, the deep sense of responsibility for something so vast and important. For a long time, people saw the earth as something endless, too big for humans to change. Ancient people worried about local things like their crops or the river, but the idea of impacting the entire globe wasn't on their radar. They thought nature was a powerful force that simply was, but now we know better. We've learned how our actions, small and large, connect across oceans and generations. This understanding, this regret, is what makes the future feel so weighty. Think about a big group project in class. At first, it might seem like just one assignment, but then you realize everyone's effort affects the final grade. If parts are neglected or messed up, the whole project suffers. Everyone feels that shared pressure, that shared responsibility. That's a bit like our planet. We're all in this huge, shared project, and our choices today build the world for tomorrow. It's a lot to carry, thinking about warming oceans and vanishing forests, but this heavy feeling isn't meant to crush us. Instead, it's a quiet nudge. It's an invitation to pause, to think deeply about our place, and to realize that with this heavy understanding comes the chance for powerful, meaningful change. It tells us that our actions, no matter how small they seem, truly matter, and that together we can lessen the load. When your favorite song is about something sad, have you ever really loved a song, played it over and over, and then one day you truly listen to the words and realize it's actually about something really, really sad? Maybe a breakup, a loss, or just a deep loneliness. It can feel a little strange, right? Like, wait, why did I feel so good humming along to this? Here's the thing, you're not alone in that feeling. For thousands of years, humans have found comfort in sad stories and sad songs. Think about old folk tales or ancient plays. They often dealt with tough times and big feelings like sorrow or grief. People didn't just tell these stories to make everyone sad. They did it because sharing those feelings, even through art, helps us understand them better. It's a way to feel big emotions safely, to let them out without being overwhelmed. It's almost like a release dot. It's kind of like when you watch a really emotional movie that makes you cry. You might feel a little sad while watching it, but afterwards, you often feel lighter, or like you've understood something important. The movie didn't make your day worse. It helped you process feelings. Or consider this. Imagine a time when you were feeling really confused or down. Then you find a piece of art, a drawing, a poem, or a song that perfectly describes how you feel. You don't suddenly feel happy, but you do feel less alone. Someone else understands. That connection, that feeling of being understood, is powerful. It takes some of the sting out of the sadness. So, when you love a sad song, it might not be because you love being sad. It's probably because the song is helping you feel something real, and in that shared feeling, you find a kind of strange beauty or comfort. You regret understanding the sadness in the song, but you also feel more connected to the world because of it. How much plastic is in the ocean? Have you truly thought about what's floating out there, deep in the blue? It's a simple question, but the answer, once understood, can be a heavy truth. Scientists say millions of tons of plastic trash end up in our oceans each year. Think about that. Millions of tons. It's not just bottles and bags you see on a beach. It's tiny pieces, broken down by sun and waves, often smaller than a grain of rice. These pieces float everywhere, from the surface to the deepest sea. Here's the thing, plastic wasn't always a huge part of our lives. Just 70 years ago, things broke down naturally. Glass, metal, wood. Then came plastic. It was cheap, strong, and lasted forever. It sounded great, right? We started making everything from it. Toys, containers, clothes. We got used to throwing things away after one use. But lasting forever means it doesn't disappear. It stays. Building up. To get a sense of this, imagine enough plastic credit cards to cover France, stacked a few feet high. That's one way too. Picture the plastic that enters the ocean each year. Or, what if every person on Earth tossed one plastic grocery bag into the ocean weekly? It would add up to something vast beneath the waves. And that's why this idea can make you pause. The ocean, once seen as endless, now holds the record of our quick choices. It's like a giant, silent museum of our disposable habits. It reminds us that even small actions can echo for centuries. The plastic we made for convenience becomes a lasting part of the world, shaping the water that sustains life. It's a quiet truth, floating just out of sight, yet always there. The truth about reality TV. Have you ever stopped to think about what reality TV really means? We watch these shows, thinking we're seeing real life, real arguments, real drama. But is it ever truly real? Here's the thing, most of what we see on reality TV isn't just happening by chance. It's carefully planned. Producers often set up situations, guide conversations, and then edit hours of footage into a short story. They pick and choose what to show, making some people look good and others look bad. It's like a puzzle where someone else picked all the pieces. People have always been fascinated by watching others. Think back to ancient stories or plays. Even then, we watched characters go through challenges. Reality TV is a bit like that, but it pretends not to be a story. It claims to be life itself. This idea of seeing real life became popular, especially when cameras got smaller and easier to use. We started believing that if a camera was there, it must be true. But a camera only shows what it's pointed at and what someone wants you to see. It's like when you post a picture online, you don't just snap one photo and share it. You probably take 10, pick the best one, maybe add a filter, or crop out something messy in the background. What you share isn't the whole messy truth of the moment, right? It's a carefully chosen version. Reality TV does the same thing, but with entire lives. They highlight the exciting bits and leave out the boring parts, or even the parts that don't fit the story they want to tell. So, when we watch these shows, we're not seeing reality. We're seeing a story that's been made for us. Understanding this might feel a little strange, like realizing a secret. It makes us think about all the stories we're told and how much of them are truly, completely real. Maybe it teaches us to look a little deeper, to question what we see, and to remember that not everything on a screen is as it seems. There's always a hand guiding the narrative, even if we don't see it. Why things break so easily? Have you ever noticed how easily things break? A phone screen just drops and crack. A favorite toy, played with for years, suddenly has a limb fall off. It feels unfair, doesn't it? Like the world is always trying to make things fall apart. Well, here's the thing. There's a deep, deep idea behind why this happens. It's like the universe has a natural leaning towards miswinzers. Imagine a perfectly neat room. It takes effort to keep it that way. If you just leave it alone, stuff will pile up, dust will settle, things will get disorganized. That's how everything works. From tiny dust motes to giant stars, things naturally move from order to disorder. Ancient thinkers noticed this long ago. They saw buildings crumble, trees decay, and everything change over time. They understood that nothing stays exactly the same forever. It's a basic rule of existence, a silent whisper from the cosmos saying, change is constant. It's always been true. Think about a brand new bike, shiny, perfect, every part working smoothly. You ride it, and over time, the chain might get rusty, the tires wear down, a pedal might get loose. It's not that the bike wants to break, it's just that every time you use it, tiny bits of energy are spent, tiny forces are at work, slowly pushing it towards a less perfect state. Even just sitting there, dust settles, parts react with the air, and slowly wear down. So why do things break so easily? It's not just bad luck, it's because everything, whether it's a piece of plastic or a star, is always subtly, gently moving towards a state of less structure, less organization. Understanding this isn't sad. It's a quiet reminder to appreciate what we have while it's whole, to fix what we can, and to accept the natural flow of things. Even in breaking, there's a kind of quiet wisdom. It teaches us about time, about change, and about the preciousness of moments. that not everyone gets a trophy. Have you ever wondered why we often feel like everyone deserves a prize, or that things should always be fair in that specific way? It's a nice thought, right? But here's the thing. Understanding that not everyone gets a trophy is one of those ideas that can feel a little heavy. It means accepting that in real life, effort doesn't always lead to the exact same outcome for everyone. And sometimes, even when you try your absolute hardest, the big recognition or the shiny reward might go to someone else. For a long time, humans have wrestled with this. Think about ancient times, like in Greece, where athletes competed in the Olympics. There wasn't a medal for every participant. The goal was excellence, to be the very best, and only a select few stood on the podium. The idea wasn't to make everyone feel equally recognized, but to celebrate extraordinary skill and effort that truly stood out. They understood that competition naturally creates winners and those who don't win. It's not about being mean, it's just how some parts of life work. Think about learning to play a musical instrument, like the guitar. Many people pick one up. They practice scales, they learn songs, they strum for hours, and that's great. But not everyone who plays the guitar becomes a famous rock star, or even plays in a big band. Does that mean their practice was wasted? Not at all. They still learned a skill, found joy in the music, and grew in different ways. The trophy in that case isn't a stadium full of fans, but the personal satisfaction, the ability to create music, or the discipline they gained out. So, accepting this idea isn't about giving up or thinking you're not good enough. It's about seeing the world clearly. It helps us find value in the effort itself, in the personal growth, and in the journey, even when the external reward isn't there. It helps you understand that true worth isn't always measured by a shiny object, but by what you learn and who you become along the way. It's about finding your own kind of success, even when it looks different from others. The actual difficulty of adulting. Ever watch grown-ups just handle things? They seem to move through the world, paying bills, making plans, solving problems, like it's all just normal. And it is, in a way. But have you ever thought about the actual difficulty hiding beneath that calm surface? It's not about knowing everything. It's about understanding the endless loop of choices and the quiet weight of responsibility that comes with them. Here's the thing. Adulting isn't just turning a certain age. It's stepping into a world where the safety nets are fewer and your actions ripple out, affecting not just you, but others too. For a long time, people have tried to understand this shift. Ancient thinkers, like the Stoics, talked about accepting what you can control and letting go of what you can't. But even knowing that, the burden of what you can control can feel heavy. It's the constant need to decide, to plan, to anticipate, and to deal with the results. Think of it like this. Right now, maybe your parents or guardians make sure the lights stay on, and there's food in the fridge. That seems simple. But imagine, you were the only one responsible for that, every single day. You have to work to earn the money, then remember to pay the bills on time, make sure there's enough food, and deal with any unexpected problems, like a broken appliance. It's not just one big task. It's 1,000 small, ongoing decisions and worries, all at once, like a never-ending group project where you're always the leader. And the grade affects your entire life. It's a deep understanding to grasp this. It shows us that true freedom isn't just doing what you want, but carrying the quiet burden of your choices. And that's why it matters. Seeing this difficulty in others can build a deep sense of understanding and kindness. It also gently prepares us for the unique challenges we'll face, reminding us that growing up isn't about becoming perfect, but about learning to carry life's quiet, meaningful weight. How social media can feel fake. Ever scrolled your feed and felt like everyone else's life looked perfect? Amazing vacations, fancy food, always having the best time. But then you look at your own day, and it doesn't quite match up. Here's the thing. What we see on social media is often just a small, carefully chosen part of someone's life. People tend to show their highlight reel. It's the best photo, the coolest moment, the happiest smile. They don't post about the bad hair day or feeling lonely. So, seeing only these perfect moments can make things feel unreal. It's like a movie trailer that shows all the exciting parts, but leaves out the slow or dull scenes that make up the full story. Humans have always presented themselves carefully. In ancient times, people might wear special clothes or have artists paint portraits to look more impressive. Social media makes this easy for everyone, all the time. for a huge audience. It's not new, but the scale and speed are totally different. This constant perfection can mess with our idea of what real life looks like. When you see a friend post about their incredible weekend, remember you're seeing the edited version. You don't see their arguments, test stress, or hours chilling at home. It's like a beautifully arranged flower bouquet. You see vibrant colors and perfect blooms. You don't see the gardener's dirty hands or the storms the flowers weathered. Understanding this can bring a quiet peace. It reminds us that our own lives, with their messy parts and quiet moments, are totally normal. Real life isn't always picture perfect, and it's not supposed to be. And that's why it matters. Knowing this can help us feel less alone and more accepting of our own everyday reality. Why animals in zoos aren't always happy. Have you ever visited a zoo, watched a tiger pace, or seen an elephant sway, and wondered if they were truly content? It's a natural question. It gets at something deeper than just food or a clean habitat. Animals in zoos often have their physical needs met, but for a living creature, happiness isn't only about survival. It's about living fully, about the wild spirit that aches for something more. For a long time, zoos were almost like living museums. The idea was to bring exotic creatures close, to let people see them. Back then, we didn't really grasp how complex animal minds are. We didn't understand that a lion needs to hunt, not just eat meat from a bucket, or that a bird needs to truly fly, not just perch. Thinking deeply, like in philosophy, asks, what does it truly mean to thrive? For an animal, thriving often means having control over its life, making choices, and facing challenges their wild nature prepared them for. Imagine you're an artist who loves to draw. Picture a beautiful room with all the art supplies you could want, paints, brushes, canvases, everything. But here's the thing, you're never allowed to leave. You can't choose what to paint, or even when. Someone else decides it all. You have everything provided, but would you feel truly happy? Probably not. You'd miss the freedom to create, to explore, to simply be an artist on your own terms. It's similar for many animals in captivity. Even in the best zoos, something essential is often missing: the chance to live out their natural behaviors, to follow the ancient instincts that guide them in the wild. Understanding happiness, for us and for animals, means looking past just comfort. It means recognizing the deep need for purpose and for freedom. It's a quiet thought, but one that deepens our empathy for all life. When a story you loved changes, have you ever read a book or watched a movie and felt like you knew everything about it? You loved the characters, you understood the ending, it felt perfect. But then, maybe you learned something new, a hidden detail about the author, a historical fact that changes how you see the setting. Or perhaps the writer explains the story's true meaning, and suddenly, that story isn't quite the same anymore, is it? Here's the thing, our understanding of stories, and even the world, can shift. Think about how people once believed the earth was flat. That was their story of the world, based on what they saw. But then, explorers and scientists gathered new information. They proved the earth was round. The old story changed. It didn't mean those people were foolish. It just meant our knowledge grew. This can help you see how understanding works. Imagine a hero from a children's story, someone brave and good. You pictured them as purely heroic. But what if you later read about a less noble action they took? Maybe they weren't perfect after all. That doesn't erase their bravery, but it adds a new layer. It makes them more real, more complex. This might work for you. Think about a time you found out something surprising about a person you admired, perhaps a historical figure. Their overall story didn't disappear, but it became richer, and that's why it matters. This feeling, when a beloved story shifts in your mind, can feel a little strange, a little like loss, maybe, but it's also a quiet kind of wisdom. It teaches us that truth often has many sides. It teaches us to be open to new ideas, even when they challenge what we thought we knew. It shows us that understanding is not a fixed point, but a journey. It's about letting the world surprise you, and finding beauty even in the unexpected turns. How much time we spend waiting. Have you ever stopped to really think about how much of our lives we spend just waiting? We wait for the bus, we wait for class to end, we wait for our food order, for a text back, for the weekend. It feels like a small thing, just bits and pieces of time, right? But if you add it all up, it becomes a huge part of our experience. And here's the thing, it's not just a modern problem. People have always waited. Think about ancient farmers. waiting for the rain, or sailors waiting for the perfect wind. Philosophers, even way back, noticed this. The Roman philosopher, Seneca, for example, wrote about how people waste time without even realizing it. He talked about how we often don't value our time until it's almost gone. It's like we see time as an endless well, and waiting is just tiny drops that don't matter. But each drop is part of the whole. Imagine you have a big jar, and every time you wait for something, even just 30 seconds for a microwave, you put a tiny grain of sand in that jar. Over days, weeks, years, that jar fills up. Think about how much time you spend on average waiting for your computer to load, or for a game update to finish downloading. Maybe it's just 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, but those little moments, added together, can become hours in a single week. Over a lifetime, it could be years. This isn't about feeling bad for waiting, it's about noticing. It's about how easily these small, unnoticed moments add up to something big. We often regret big mistakes, but do we ever regret the quiet, unseen drain of moments spent just standing by? Maybe understanding this isn't about changing how much we wait, but about changing how we see those waiting times. They are moments, too, that make up our story, and what we do with our attention, even when we're stuck, shapes that story. The tiny creatures living in your bed. Have you ever just sat quietly, maybe in your own room, and truly wondered about the hidden worlds around us? I mean, tiny, right here. Take your bed, for example. It's a comfy, familiar spot, a place for sleep. But what if I told you it's also home to an entire, invisible community? Here's the thing. Your bed, soft and warm, holds millions of tiny creatures called dust mites. You can't see them without a microscope. For hundreds of years, humans slept without knowing these things existed. It wasn't until scientists looked at the world up close that we began to understand the busy, unseen life all around us. Imagine discovering a new planet, but it's right there on your pillow. These mites are harmless to most, but they feed on something you leave behind daily, tiny flakes of your dead skin. Think about it like this. When sunlight streams into your room, you sometimes see those specks of dust dancing. We usually just think, oh, dust, but a surprising amount of that dust is actually skin flakes. Food for these tiny creatures. It's like setting out a giant, invisible buffet every night. They're always there, busy living their lives, completely unaware of yours. So, does knowing this change how you see your bed, or even your room? It's not about being scared. It's more about understanding that reality is much bigger than what our eyes alone can see. There's a whole universe of life happening, all the time, in places we never expect. And sometimes, understanding these small, hidden truths makes you realize how truly strange and amazing our world is, even in the most ordinary spots. Why some jokes aren't funny to everyone. Have you ever heard a joke that everyone else found funny, but you didn't get it? Or maybe you told one that you thought was hilarious, and no one else even smiled. It makes you wonder, why isn't humor the same for everyone? Here's the thing. Our minds are like vast libraries, holding every book we've ever read, every movie we've seen, every moment we've lived. When someone tells a joke, it's like they're giving us a tiny puzzle piece. To find it funny, we need to match that piece with something already in our library. If we don't have the right context, the right reference book, the piece just doesn't fit. For a long time, people have thought about why we understand things differently. They noticed that what we find funny often depends on what we already expect or believe. A joke then surprises us by changing that expectation. But our expectations are built from our unique lives. A joke about a historical event might be hilarious if you know the history, but confusing if you don't. A play on words won't make sense if you don't speak that language. Think about an inside joke among friends. It's funny because everyone shares a memory or experience the joke refers to. Someone new might hear it and feel confused. They don't have that shared memory. It's not that the joke is bad, it's just that they lack the missing piece. The same goes for cultural differences. What's funny in one country might be offensive, or just baffling, in another. So, when a joke falls flat for someone, it's often not about them being no fun. It's a quiet reminder of how wonderfully different our inner worlds are. Each of us carries a unique history, a personal collection of understandings and feelings. Understanding humor can also be a way to understand each other better. With kindness and curiosity, it teaches us about the unseen connections between us. The simple math behind bills. Have you ever stopped to think about how something as plain as a bill comes to be? It's just numbers, right? But those numbers aren't random. Here's the thing. They tell a story about what we use and what the world provides. At its core, a bill is simple math. When you turn on a light, you use electricity. When you take a long shower, you use water. A meter somewhere quietly counts how much of that resource passes through. Then, a basic calculation happens. The amount you used multiplied by the cost for each unit. That's it. It's not magic. It's a direct accounting of your share from a shared pool. Think back to old times, long before electricity or running water in every home. People traded goods. A farmer gave grain for a blacksmith's tool. It was a direct exchange of effort and value. As societies grew, money became a stand-in for that effort. Bills are just the modern version of tracking these exchanges for services we all rely on. It's a system designed to make sure resources are managed fairly, so they keep being available. It's about understanding that these things aren't endless. Imagine a giant, shared community garden. Everyone in town uses water from a single well for their plants. If one person leaves their hose running all day, they use up more than their fair share. Soon, there might not be enough for everyone. Bills for water or electricity are a bit like the simple records for that shared well. They help us see who is using what and how much is needed to keep the well full for everyone. It makes us aware of our impact, and that's why it matters. The math on a bill isn't just about money leaving your pocket. It's a quiet message. It's about how we connect to the power that lights our rooms or the water that flows from our taps. These simple sums reflect our shared responsibility for the resources that make our lives comfortable and possible. It's a quiet, steady reminder that everything we pull from the earth or create with effort has a source, and everything truly has a value beyond just a number. That good things can also end. Have you ever thought about how even the best feelings don't last forever, or how a really good day always finishes? It's kind of a strange idea, isn't it? We usually hope for good things to go on, like a summer or a favorite song playing forever. But here's the thing. Part of truly understanding the world means realizing that everything changes. And that means even good things, even moments of great joy or comfort, have their limits. They don't last forever. This idea isn't new at all. People have been thinking about this very concept for thousands of years, across different cultures and lands. Ancient thinkers, like those in Greece or in Eastern philosophies, often talked about how everything in life is always moving, always shifting. They saw that seasons change, plants grow strong and then wither away, and even vast mountains slowly wear down over time. They understood that change isn't just about bad things happening or problems arriving. It's also about good things evolving, coming to an end, or simply making space for something new to begin. It's a natural cycle, as constant and steady as breathing in and breathing out. Think about your favorite summer break. Maybe one filled with amazing adventures, late nights with friends, or just sunny, carefree days. It felt like it could last forever, right? But eventually, the school year started again. That specific summer break moment ended. Does that make the summer less good though? Not at all. In fact, knowing it would eventually end probably made you appreciate each sunny day and every laugh even more, right? It's like a really delicious piece of cake. You enjoy every bite, and even though it's gone when you finish, the joy of eating it, that sweet memory, stays with you. So, understanding that good things can end isn't about being sad or negative, not truly. Instead, it's a way to truly appreciate the good moments we have right now, in this very moment. It helps us hold on to joy more tightly while it's here, without taking it for granted. And it teaches us a kind of quiet wisdom, a gentle acceptance of life's natural flow. It's about knowing that endings are just part of every story, making us even more grateful for the beautiful chapters while they unfold. How much your parents worry. Have you ever really thought about how much your parents worry about you? It's a deep, constant hum beneath everything else they do. It's not about trust. Here's the thing. It's about what they know the world can be. They carry a silent knowledge of life's bumps and twists. It goes back far. Since humans first walked the earth, parents have felt this pull. It's part of our story. Imagine early humans in caves. A parent wouldn't just worry about a child getting a scraped knee. They worried about wild animals, about finding enough food, about staying safe from bigger dangers. That instinct to protect them is still wired into us. It's not always about big dangers. Sometimes it's the small stuff too. Think of it like this. Your brain looks for patterns, right? It tries to predict what will happen. For parents, that part of their brain is always running an extra program, a what-if scan for their children. It's like they have an invisible radar, constantly sweeping, looking for trouble. If you're late, their mind might quickly cycle through 10 different scenarios before you walk through the door. It's not logical. It's more like a constant, quiet hum of concern. Understanding this isn't meant to make you feel guilty. It's one of those ideas that, once you get it, can change how you see things. It shows you the immense, unending nature of their love. It's a heavy knowing, because you can't stop it for them. But knowing it is there, this deep, ancient worry, also shows the incredible strength of a parent's heart. It's a quiet testament to a love that runs deeper than anything else. The meaning of a scary news headline. Have you ever stopped to think about what really makes a news headline scary? It's not just the words themselves, is it? It's something deeper, a feeling that washes over you even before you fully grasp the details. Here's the thing. A scary headline is often a quick, sharp window into our own oldest fears. It taps into something very basic in us, a part of our brain that's always listening for danger. For thousands of years, humans have been programmed to pay close attention to anything that signals a threat. Back in ancient times, if someone shouted about a saber-toothed tiger nearby, your body wouldn't wait for all the facts. It would just react, ready to run or fight. News headlines work like a modern version of that primal shout. They are designed to grab our attention quickly, because our brains are built to focus on what might hurt us. Think about a time you heard a sudden, loud noise. Maybe a car backfired, or something crashed nearby. Your body likely jumped, your heart raced, even before you knew what it was. You didn't stop to analyze the sound waves. Your brain simply went into alert mode. A scary news headline acts much the same way. It's a jolt, a signal that something bad might be happening. Your mind reacts instantly, often with a feeling of unease or worry, even if the headline is about something far away or not directly affecting you. So, the true meaning of a scary headline isn't just the event it describes. It's also about how it reveals our own human nature, our quick reaction to potential threats. Understanding this can help us to see past the initial jolt of fear. It teaches us that our minds are powerful, but also that we can learn to understand our own reactions. We can then choose to respond thoughtfully, instead of just being pulled along by fear. It's a quiet strength, knowing how our own minds work. Why you can't always trust what you read. Have you ever stopped to wonder if everything you read, every word on a screen or a page, is truly what it seems? See, words are powerful. They can build worlds, share amazing ideas, or even make you feel something deep. But here's the thing. Words are also tools. And like any tool, they can be used differently by different hands. A writer chooses what to include, what to leave out, and even the feeling they want you to have. For hundreds of years, people have wrestled with this idea of truth in writing. Think about old stories passed down through generations, or even early newspapers. What one person saw as completely true, another might have seen differently. Before the internet, news traveled slowly, often changing a little with each retelling. Now, information flies at us faster than ever, which means checking it carefully is even more important. Imagine you and a friend both see the same event happen at school. Maybe a lunchtime discussion, or a quick game during recess. If you both write down what happened, your stories might sound a little different, even if you both mean to be honest. You'd focus on what you noticed, what felt important to you. Maybe your friend remembers a different detail, or felt a different way about it. Neither of you is lying, but your truths are shaped by your own eyes and feelings. So, it's not about doubting everything, it's more about being thoughtful. When you read something, ask yourself, who wrote this? Why did they write it? What might they want me to believe? This isn't being negative, it's being smart. It helps you understand the world more deeply, not just take things at face value. It helps you build your own understanding, piece by piece, like putting together a careful puzzle. The vastness of space and our smallness. Have you ever looked up at the night sky, far from city lights, and really tried to grasp what you're seeing? It's an endless ocean of stars, galaxies, and mysteries stretching out further than we can even imagine. Here's the thing. Standing here on Earth, our planet feels huge. Our city, our school, our own lives, they all seem so important and big. But then you think about space, and that feeling changes. Before, people thought Earth was the center of everything. But then, thinkers like Copernicus and Galileo, looking through early telescopes, started to figure out that Earth is actually just one planet, spinning around a star, the Sun, and our Sun. It's just one of billions of stars in our galaxy, the Milky Way. Our galaxy, in turn, is just one of billions of galaxies in the universe. It's truly mind-boggling. Imagine a tiny grain of sand. Our Sun and its planets, including Earth, are like just one of those grains of sand compared to all the beaches in the world, which represents the entire universe. It's an almost impossible scale to understand. We are so tiny in that immense picture. This feeling can be a bit overwhelming, maybe even a little scary. It makes your everyday worries feel a lot smaller, doesn't it? But here's what I found. Realizing how small we are doesn't have to be a bad thing. Instead, it can make you feel a deep sense of wonder. It reminds us how precious and unique our little blue planet is, floating in all that blackness. It makes the moments we have, the connections we make, and the choices we face feel even more meaningful. Even a tiny grain of sand is part of something magnificent, and its existence, no matter how small, still matters. It's a humbling thought, but also a beautiful one. How a simple mistake can grow huge. Have you ever stopped to think about how something really small can become something really big? Like a tiny pebble dropped into a still pond, creating ripples that reach the very edge. It's a simple image, but it holds a deep truth about how things work in our world. Here's the thing. Sometimes, a minor error, a small oversight, or just a little slip can set off a long chain of events. We might not even notice it at first. It's like a quiet whisper that turns into a shout, or a tiny crack in a sidewalk that eventually breaks a whole section. And then, when the full picture comes into view, when we see the huge consequences, it's a difficult truth to hold. Ancient thinkers understood this idea. They didn't call it the butterfly effect, but they knew everything is connected. A single decision, seemingly unimportant, could change history. It's a reminder our world is delicate, and even the smallest action echoes in ways we can't always predict. Think about something simple. Maybe you were working on a group project, and you forgot one tiny detail. It seemed okay at the moment, but then, because that one detail was missing, the next part of the project couldn't connect right, and then the next part was off to soon, the whole presentation feels incomplete, or the experiment doesn't work, all because of that one little forgotten piece. It wasn't a huge mistake alone, but it grew into a much bigger problem. It's a heavy thought, isn't it? To realize that even the quietest choices, the smallest errors, can have such far-reaching consequences. Sometimes, understanding this makes you see the world differently. It's not just about what we do, but also what we don't do, or what we overlooked, and then you might regret knowing how fragile everything truly is. How easily a beautiful thing can unravel from a single, overlooked thread. Why some people stay sad for a long time. Have you ever wondered why some feelings seem to stick around much longer than others? We all feel sad sometimes, right? Like when you miss someone, or something doesn't go your way. Those feelings usually lift after a while, like clouds passing from the sky. But for some people, that heavy, dark cloud seems to stay put, day after day. It's not just a bad mood. It's a deep, lasting sadness that settles in and won't leave. Long ago, thinkers tried to understand this. Ancient Greeks called this kind of deep, persistent sadness melancholy. They saw it not just as a feeling, but as a state that could wrap around a person's entire being. They believed it had to do with certain elements in the body, almost like a physical condition, not just a choice. They understood that something beyond a simple bad day was at play. This shows that for thousands of years, people have noticed how some sadness just gets stuck. Think about a small cut on your hand. Most little scrapes heal up pretty fast, right? You barely notice them after a day or two. But imagine a deeper cut, one that maybe got a bit infected, or one that keeps getting bumped. That kind of cut takes a much longer time to heal. It needs more care, more time, and maybe even some help to get better. Sadness can be a lot like that sometimes. The reasons for sadness are deeper, or they keep getting triggered, making it hard for the mind to heal. Our brains, which are amazing and complex, can get used to certain paths of thinking and feeling. If someone has been feeling sad for a long time, those pathways in the brain can become very worn and familiar. It makes it harder to choose a different path. So, when someone stays sad for a very long time, it's not because they want to. It's often a complex mix of things, how their brain works, big life events that happen to them, and even what they've learned from past experiences. It's a very real challenge, and it reminds us that our feelings, like our bodies, sometimes need a lot of time and gentle care to find their way back to a lighter place. The truth about school lunches. Have you ever really looked at your school lunch and wondered about its true story? It sits there on your tray, a familiar part of every school day. But here's the thing. That meal isn't just what you eat. It's a complex story, shaped by many hands, holding a quiet truth about our world. School lunches weren't always a thing. Long ago, they began to help kids who didn't get enough food at home. It was about making sure every student had energy to learn, not being hungry in class. This was a good idea, a promise from society to its young people. But as things grew, and more schools fed more kids, that simple idea faced real problems. The system bringing food to your tray today is like a vast, invisible network. Imagine it like a giant river carrying food. This river starts far away, with farms and factories. It flows through government rules, big budgets, and many people working to make it all happen. It's like a science experiment. You mix chemicals for a result, but some are expensive, and your beaker is small. You have to make choices, use the best ingredients, or what's cheaper and lasts longer to feed thousands. So, your school lunch becomes a compromise. It's an effort to feed many, keep costs down, and meet health rules. It's not always perfect, but it's a reflection of all those forces at play. Understanding this isn't about being upset. It's about seeing the hidden layers in everyday things. It's realizing that even simple lunch can show us how society balances big needs with limited resources. It's a quiet understanding that even good intentions sometimes face tough realities, that not every problem has an easy fix. Have you ever wished for a magic button, like a single switch to make a tough problem just disappear? We often hope every puzzle has an easy answer. We want quick fixes for everything. Someone lost their keys. Just retrace your steps. A math problem. Use the right formula. And that's usually true for small stuff. But here's the thing. Some problems don't work that way. They are big and messy. They don't have one simple solution. No single button to press. Ancient thinkers, even really smart ones, knew this. They talked about things like what makes people good, or why bad things happen. These weren't questions you could answer in a book. They had long arguments, debates that went on for centuries. No one wrote down the answer, and then everyone agreed. Even today, scientists grapple with huge challenges. They don't just find a cure for every sickness overnight. It takes years and years of small steps. Sometimes, there's no clear fix at all, just a way to manage or understand. Think about something personal, like feeling really sad or confused about something big. Maybe a friend moves away, or you're struggling with a subject at school. You can't just snap out of it, or have someone say just be happy. It's not a broken bone that can be put in a cast. It's more like a tangled ball of yarn. You try to pull one string, but it just gets tighter. You have to patiently work at it, thread by thread. Sometimes you need help, and even then, it's a slow process. There's no quick fix for a complicated feeling. Understanding this idea, that not everything has a simple fix, can feel a little heavy. It means sometimes we have to live with problems, or work hard for a long time without a clear end in sight. But it also teaches us patience. It shows us the value of slow effort and deep thought. And it helps us be kinder to ourselves and others, knowing that some struggles are just incredibly complex. Sometimes, the wisdom is in realizing there might not be an easy way out, and that's okay. How quickly trends disappear. Have you ever looked back at something everyone was obsessed with just a few years ago? A clothing style, a dance move, even a certain app, and now it's just gone. Feels strange, doesn't it? Like it never even existed. This is what a trend does. It's a sudden, strong wave of interest. Everyone wants to be part of it. But waves always break. They recede. One moment, they crash with energy. The next, the water is calm, waiting for the next swell. Trends have always come and gone. It's not a new idea. Ancient Romans saw styles change, and even ways of speaking fade. This is human history. We are drawn to new things, then move on. Our minds need fresh focus. This shows our constant search for something new, but its newness is often fleeting. Remember, fidget spinners. They were everywhere. Every kid had one. You saw them spinning in classrooms. On the bus, they were the ultimate cool accessory. Then, almost overnight, they vanished. They became a symbol of last year. Now, they're probably in a drawer. They offered a brief distraction, then faded. And that's why it matters. Trends disappearing show us something deep about our own interests. We chase something new, find joy, then let it go. It reminds us little truly lasts. Things change, our attention shifts. That's okay. It leaves space for what comes next. New ideas and understanding can quietly take root. It's a gentle reminder. Some things are just temporary, passing through our lives like a soft breeze. How quickly trends disappear. Have you ever looked back at something everyone was obsessed with just a few years ago? A clothing style, a dance move, even a certain app, and now it's just gone. Feels strange, doesn't it? Like it never even existed. This is what a trend does. It's a sudden, strong wave of interest. Everyone wants to be part of it, but waves always break. They recede. One moment, they crash with energy. The next, the water is calm, waiting for the next swell. Trends have always come and gone. It's not a new idea. Ancient Romans saw styles change, and even ways of speaking fade. This is human history. We are drawn to new things, then move on. Our minds need fresh focus. This shows our constant search for something new, but its newness is often fleeting. Remember fidget spinners. They were everywhere. Every kid had one. You saw them spinning in classrooms. On the bus, they were the ultimate cool accessory. Then, almost overnight, they vanished. They became a symbol of last year. Now, they're probably in a drawer. They offered a brief distraction, then faded, and that's why it matters. Trends disappearing show us something deep about our own interests. We chase something new, find joy, then let it go. It reminds us little truly lasts. Things change, our attention shifts. That's okay. It leaves space for what comes next. New ideas and understanding can quietly take root. It's a gentle reminder. Some things are just temporary, passing through our lives like a soft breeze. The sound of silence when you expect noise. Have you ever been somewhere really loud, like a crowded school hallway or a noisy cafeteria, and then suddenly, for no clear reason, everything just stops? That sudden quiet can be really strange, almost unsettling. It's not just that the noise is gone, it's the sound of its absence. It's the silence itself that becomes loud in your mind. Here's the thing. Our brains get used to patterns. We expect certain sounds in certain places. Think about a busy street. You hear cars, distant voices, maybe a siren. But what if all of that just vanished? That kind of quiet makes your ears strain, looking for what isn't there. It can make you feel a little off balance, because your mind was ready for something different. People have thought about silence for a long time. In ancient times, a sudden silence might have seemed like a sign or a pause from the gods. Philosophers sometimes talked about how silence makes us think, because there are no distractions. But this isn't about a peaceful quiet you choose. This is about the quiet that surprises you, the kind that makes your stomach drop a little. Imagine you're at a big sports game, the crowd roaring, everyone cheering. Then, something happens on the field, maybe a big play that ends in an unexpected way, and the whole stadium goes completely, absolutely quiet. That moment, you can almost hear the air. You feel the weight of everyone holding their breath, every expectation suddenly broken. It's a silence that's not empty, but full of unexpressed shouts and gasps. It's heavy. So, when noise just disappears, it shows us how much we rely on sound to tell us what's happening. It's a moment that reminds us of the hidden rhythms of our lives. That unsettling quiet teaches us that not all silence is peaceful. Some silences are just the echo of missing sound, making us realize just how much we expected to hear. It's a small jolt, a quiet reminder that the world doesn't always follow our predictions. And once you notice it, you start to feel it every time. It's a deep kind of quiet that you can't unnotice. Why people care so much about popularity? Have you ever stopped to wonder why being popular feels so important? Why do we sometimes try so hard to be liked by others, or to fit in? It's a deep question, and the answer goes back further than you might think, to the core of what it means to be human. here's the thing. For a long time, belonging to a group wasn't just nice, it was necessary for survival. Think about early humans. Living alone in the wild was dangerous. You needed your tribe for safety, for hunting, for sharing food. If you were cast out, your chances of survival dropped a lot. So, our brains developed a deep urge to seek connection and acceptance. That feeling we get when people like us. It's a tiny echo of that ancient sense of safety and belonging. It's like when you see a flock of birds flying together. Each bird benefits from the group, their safety in numbers, and they can find food more easily. If one bird tries to fly off on its own, it's more vulnerable. For us, in daily life, this plays out in how we feel about friendships, social media likes, or being chosen for a team. When others approve of us, it gives us a good feeling, a sense of validation, because deep down, it tells our ancient brain, you are safe, you belong. But here's the thoughtful part. While that pull to connect is natural and healthy, true belonging isn't always about being popular with everyone. It's more about finding a few people who truly see and accept you for who you are. The deepest kind of care isn't about how many people know your name. It's about how much you matter to the ones who truly understand your heart. It's a quiet wisdom. Sometimes, the most important acceptance comes from within and from the few who really get you. The real struggle behind a perfect performance. Have you ever watched someone do something amazing, and it just looked ... easy? Like a dancer floating across the stage, or a musician playing a complicated piece without missing a note. It seems so smooth, so natural. But here's the thing. That perfect performance often hides immense hidden effort, struggle, and even pain. We see the final, polished product, and sometimes we don't think about the messy, difficult journey to get there. It's like only seeing the top of an iceberg. The biggest part, the true struggle, stays hidden. Long ago, ancient Greek thinkers were interested in the idea of perfection. They loved beauty and balance. But even then, they knew achieving something truly great meant hard work. They understood that what we show the world is often just the surface. Think about a sculptor creating a beautiful statue. We see the smooth marble, but not the hours of chipping away, the mistakes, the tired hands. The regret isn't understanding. It's hard, but perhaps regretting we didn't always see it. The struggle behind the shine. It's like watching a swan glide across a calm lake. It looks so peaceful and effortless, right? Like it's just floating. But underneath the water, that swan's feet are paddling, hard and fast, moving constantly. They're working hard to make it look easy. Or think about a soccer player who makes a perfect pass. We cheer for the goal, but we didn't see them practicing that exact pass 1,000 times in the rain, falling down, getting frustrated. That perfect moment is built on countless imperfect attempts. The effort is often invisible, and that's what makes it so powerful when we realize it. So, understanding this means seeing the world differently. It means realizing that true skill isn't about being naturally flawless. It's about pushing through mistakes, learning, and never giving up, even when no one is watching. When we understand the invisible struggle, we gain a deeper respect for others and what they achieve, and we can be kinder to ourselves too, knowing our own efforts, even when they don't look perfect, are still valuable and part of a real journey. It reminds us that what's beneath the surface often holds the most important lessons. How the internet never forgets. Have you ever really thought about memory? Not just your own, but the memory of something much bigger. We often think about deleting things online. A post, a picture, a comment. We hit that button, and poof, it's gone, right? But here's the thing. The internet doesn't really forget. It's built on a system of storing and copying. When you put something online, even if you delete it, that information often leaves a trace, a kind of digital echo. It might be saved on different servers, or cached by search engines, or even archived by websites whose whole purpose is to keep a record of everything. Think about how people, long ago, wanted their words to last. Ancient scribes carved stories into stone or wrote on durable parchment. They hoped their ideas would live on for centuries. Libraries have been built for thousands of years to preserve books, holding on to human knowledge and stories. The internet is like the biggest, most tireless library ever created. But unlike a physical library that might eventually clear out old, unused books, the internet struggles to let anything go. What's uploaded tends to stay, in some form, somewhere. For instance, maybe back in elementary school, You posted a silly photo or wrote a comment you now find a bit cringy. You deleted it years ago, sure, but that doesn't mean it vanished completely. Someone might have taken a screenshot. A website archive might still hold a copy from when it was live. Search engines often keep old versions of pages. It's like trying to remove a drop of ink from a vast ocean. The stain might fade from your view, but its particles are still out there, mixed in. This quiet, deep understanding means our digital actions have a kind of lasting power. Every single post, every comment, every photo becomes a part of our ongoing digital story. It reminds us to be thoughtful about what we share, to understand that what we put out there isn't just for today or for our friends. In a way, it's for forever. It's a calm reflection that our online selves are being written down, moment by moment, for the world to quietly remember. That even good people make bad choices. Have you ever wondered why someone you really look up to, someone you know is kind and fair, might sometimes do something that just doesn't make sense, something that feels wrong, even for them? It's a heavy thought, but it's part of understanding how complex people truly are. No one is perfectly good all the time. Being a good person doesn't mean you never make a mistake, or that you're always wise. It means that, deep down, your intentions are generally good, and you try to do right. But even with the best intentions, we are all human. Think about it like this: history is full of stories, not just of villains doing bad things, but of truly influential, generally well-meaning people making terrible decisions, leaders who started wars they couldn't win, scientists who believed harmful ideas, or even just everyday heroes who had moments of weakness. The ancient philosophers, people who spent their lives thinking about right and wrong, understood this. They knew that human nature is messy. We're not machines programmed to always choose the perfect path. Sometimes, fear, pressure, or even just a moment of not thinking clearly can lead us astray, even when we know better. Here's a simple example. Imagine a student who is usually honest and kind, always helping others with their homework and speaking up if someone is being picked on. But one day, they are feeling incredibly stressed about a big test, and they see a friend's answer sheet lying open. Just for a second, a small, quick glance, they immediately regret it. It was a bad choice, made in a moment of panic, by someone who is fundamentally good. That quick glance doesn't erase all their kindness. It shows that even good people can slip under pressure or in a moment of weakness. It's a reminder that we all carry a mix of light and shadow inside us. And understanding this isn't about excusing bad choices, but about seeing the full, complicated truth of what it means to be human. It means there's always room to learn, to grow, and to try to do better next time. The hidden sugar in everything. Have you ever really looked at the labels on the food you eat, even the food you think is healthy? Here's the thing. We often think of sugar as something in candy or soda. But what if I told you it's hidden, tucked away in almost everything we buy? It's in the bread you eat for toast, the yogurt you grab for breakfast, even the sauces on your favorite chicken. This isn't about natural sugars found in fruit, which come with fiber and nutrients. This is about added sugars, often under names you might not recognize, like corn syrup or dextrose. They're there to make things taste better, last longer, or even just look more appealing. For a long time, sugar was a luxury. Only the rich could afford it. But centuries ago, as technology improved, it became cheap to produce. And then, in the last 100 years or so, food companies learned that adding sugar made people want to eat more. It's like a secret ingredient, designed to keep you coming back. So, slowly, quietly, sugar snuck its way into nearly every corner of our diet. It's not just a taste, it's a tool that changed how we eat, without most of us even realizing it. Think about a simple spaghetti sauce. You might think it's just tomatoes and herbs, but if you check the label, often there's added sugar. Why? To cut the tartness of the tomatoes, to make it pop more for your taste buds. It's like a silent collaborator, making everyday foods surprisingly sweet without you quite noticing the shift. And here's what I found. Once you understand this, once you truly see the labels, it changes everything. That hidden sugar, once invisible, becomes impossible to ignore. It's not just about what's good for you or not. It's about the quiet ways our world is shaped, about how easily we can misunderstand what we consume. It leaves you wondering, what else is hidden in plain sight, waiting for us to truly see? Why your pet gets old. Have you ever looked at your dog or cat, still playful but with a little more gray around their snout, and wondered why they can't stay young forever? It's a quiet question many of us carry, especially when we love them so much. Here's the thing about why pets, and all living things, get old. It's built right into the fabric of life itself. Imagine your pet's body is like a complex machine, made of countless tiny building blocks called cells. These cells work hard every single day, dividing and repairing to keep everything running smoothly. But just like anything that works hard for a long time, these cells start to get tired. They collect tiny bits of damage, or their ability to copy themselves perfectly begins to fade. It's a slow, steady process, a kind of natural wear and tear. For thousands of years, people have pondered this very idea. Why do we age? Ancient thinkers, observing the world around them, saw seasons change, plants bloom and wither, and creatures born and then pass on. They understood that everything has a beginning and an end, a natural cycle. They didn't have microscopes to see cells, but they sensed this deep, unchanging rhythm of life. Think of it like this. Every time you make a photocopy of a photocopy, the quality slowly gets worse. The lines blur, the colors fade. Your pets' cells are a bit like that. Each time they divide and make a new copy, there's a tiny, almost invisible loss of perfection over many copies. This small change adds up. So, when we see our beloved pets slow down, it's not a failure, but a part of this ancient, quiet process. It's a reminder of the precious, fleeting nature of time, and the beauty in every stage of life. It makes the time we share with them even more valuable, doesn't it? It helps us truly appreciate the joy they bring, knowing that every moment is a gift. The amount of dust in the air. Have you ever looked at a sunbeam cutting through a room? You can see all those tiny specks dancing in the light. They look like nothing, just little floaty bits. But here's the thing, those are dust particles, and they're everywhere, all the time. It's not just dirt. A lot of that dust is actually tiny pieces of us. Old skin cells, hair fibers from our clothes, pet dander if you have animals. Then there's outdoor dust, 2 bits of soil, pollen, tiny plant pieces, even microscopic particles from far-off places. This idea that the air around us is always full of these bits can feel a little strange once you really think about it. It makes you wonder, what is the air we breathe made of, beyond gases? It's a constant, silent rain of tiny particles. For centuries, thinkers pondered what's truly empty space. Ancient philosophers like Democritus believed everything, even solid matter, is made of tiny, indivisible pieces. Our everyday dust shows this constant breaking down and reforming. It's a quiet testament to life's endless cycle. Think about cleaning your room. You wipe down surfaces, and a day later, there's a thin layer back. It's relentless. Or imagine vacuuming. You empty the canister, and it's full of things you didn't even notice. Every breath you take, you're inhaling and exhaling this mixture. It's a reminder that nothing truly disappears. It just breaks down and becomes part of something else, drifting unseen in the air around us. So, understanding the amount of dust, and what it's made of, can be a little unsettling. But it's also a deep connection. Every part of us, every house, every piece of clothing, adds to this ongoing, invisible dance. It shows us how everything is linked, how we are all tiny, moving parts in a much larger, continuous system. The air isn't empty. It's a constant swirl of history, of life, of everything that has ever been. And we are right there, breathing it all in. How much effort it takes to stay organized. Have you ever wondered why your room, even after you clean it, seems to get messy again so fast? Or why a neat binder slowly becomes a pile of crumpled papers? It's almost like the world pushes things towards disorder. And here's the thing, it pretty much does. Keeping things organized isn't a one-time job. It's a constant effort, a quiet fight against a powerful force called entropy. You might have heard of entropy in science class. It's a big word, but it just means everything in the universe, left alone, tends to go from order to mess. Think about an old building. If no one fixes it, it slowly falls apart. That's entropy at work. Even thinkers from long ago saw how nature becomes messy without constant care. They noticed how a garden needs tending to stay beautiful, or how a clear stream gets muddy. Think about your backpack after a busy school week. You probably start Monday with everything neat, notebooks stacked, pens in their pouch. By Friday, it's a jumble. Loose papers, a forgotten snack wrapper, maybe a permission slip buried deep down. It didn't get messy all at once. It was little bits of disorder adding up, each small thing pulling it further from its organized state. So, when you feel tired of constantly tidying up, remember you're not just fighting your own habits, you're gently pushing back against a basic rule of the universe. It's a quiet, ongoing struggle we all face, from a toy on your floor to a big galaxy. The beauty isn't just in making things perfectly neat, because that often doesn't last. The real meaning lies in the steady, patient effort itself. It's in choosing to bring a bit of order into a world that naturally drifts towards chaos. It's a small but strong act of will. That sometimes your best isn't enough. Have you ever given something absolutely everything you had? You poured your heart into it, tried your hardest, and still, the outcome wasn't what you hoped for. Here's the thing. Sometimes, even your very best effort isn't enough to change how things turn out. This isn't about you failing. It's about understanding a deeper truth about the world. For a long, long time, people have thought about this. Ancient thinkers, watching the seasons change or the unpredictable sea, understood that some forces are just bigger than us. They saw that even with all their wisdom or strength, certain events were simply beyond their control. This idea isn't meant to make you feel powerless. Instead, it's about recognizing where your power truly lies. Your power is in the effort, in the trying, in the honesty of your work. The outcome, though, can be influenced by so much more than just your individual will. Imagine your school's basketball team. Everyone practices hard, learns the plays, and gives their all during the game. You push yourselves to the limit. But maybe the other team just had an incredibly lucky night, or one of their players had a truly outstanding performance. You played your best, as a team and as individuals, but you still lost. That can feel really tough. But it doesn't mean your effort was worthless, or that you didn't try hard enough. It means you faced a challenge where, on that particular day, your absolute best wasn't enough to secure the win. This idea can be a bit heavy at first. It makes us realize that some things are simply not within our grasp to control, no matter how much we want to. But here's what it also means. You are truly powerful for giving your all, for showing up, for trying. Once you've done that, there's a quiet strength in accepting what you cannot change. You can find peace knowing you did everything you possibly could, and that's a kind of success all on its own. Why some promises are broken. Have you ever wondered why a promise, once made with certainty, can sometimes shatter? It's a quiet ache when that happens. We think of promises as solid, but the truth is, life is always moving, always changing. And so, sometimes, our people. Here's the thing, often, when a promise breaks, it's not because someone woke up and decided to be mean. It's more complicated. Think about someone in ancient Greece making a solemn oath. They believed their words held immense power. Philosophers like Aristotle knew people aimed for good, but they also knew that humans are messy. Our intentions can be pure, but the path ahead is rarely straight. Think about promising your friend you'll meet up after school to work on a project. You mean it, but then, your little sister suddenly gets a high fever, and your parents need you to help. Your intention didn't change. A new important situation arrived. The circumstance broke the promise, not a lack of caring. It's like a weather forecast. The meteorologist promises sun based on current information. But then a sudden storm shifts, and the skies open up. The forecast wasn't a lie. The world just changed around it, and that's why it matters. Understanding this doesn't make the hurt disappear, but it can soften it. It teaches us about the shifting nature of things, and the limits of our power to control the future. Sometimes, a broken promise whispers a deeper truth, that life is a river, not a stone. Even the strongest intentions can meet unexpected currents. It reminds us to hold a little grace for ourselves, and for others, in a world that's always surprising us. The quiet fear of growing up. Have you ever noticed a quiet, almost secret feeling about getting older? It's not about birthday cake or driving lessons. It's a deeper feeling, a soft hum of realizing that with each year, you understand a little more about the world, and sometimes, what you understand isn't always easy or comforting. It's not about big, scary things. It's a quiet, steady awareness that the simple magic of childhood starts to fade. You begin to see how complicated things really are. The rules change, the responsibilities grow. Think about it this way. For a long, long time, people have thought about this feeling. Ancient thinkers, even thousands of years ago, talked about how growing up means leaving behind a kind of protected space. It's like stepping out of a cozy, small room where everything is known, into a huge, echoing hall. The hall might be full of incredible things, but it's also vast, and a little bit scary because it's new and unfamiliar. The world seems simpler when you didn't know about all the tricky parts of history, or how people misunderstand each other, or the big problems society faces. Here's an example. Remember when you learned how electricity works, beyond just flipping a switch? Before, it was just light. Now, you understand circuits and how things can short out. You gain knowledge, but you also gain the awareness of potential problems. You can't go back to just seeing a light switch as pure, simple magic. That simple, innocent view is gone, replaced by a more complex understanding. And this quiet fear. It's part of being human. It's okay to feel it. It reminds us that growing up isn't just about new freedoms. It's also about losing some old certainties. But here's the thing. Understanding this fear means you're actually growing stronger. You're becoming someone who can face what's real. And that's a quiet kind of courage. How much energy goes into charging your phone? Have you ever really thought about the tiny, invisible threads of power that connect us to our phones? We just plug them in, and they fill up. But what does fill up actually mean in terms of energy? Here's the thing. Charging your phone uses surprisingly little energy. A modern smartphone battery might hold about 10 to 15 watt-hours of energy. To fully charge it from empty, it might take a bit more than that, perhaps 15 to 20 watt-hours from the wall outlet, accounting for some loss. This is a very small number. When we think about electricity, most people pay for electricity by the kilowatt-hour. That's 1,000 watt-hours. So, you could charge your phone many times for just 1 kilowatt-hour. For most of human history, energy was hard to get. It meant burning wood for heat, or muscle power for work. The idea of electricity, invisible and ready at a switch, would have seemed like magic. This ability to pull power from a wall is a recent invention, and because it's so easy now, we often don't consider the journey of that energy, from a power plant, through miles of wires, just to give your phone life. It's like we forget the long, complex system that delivers this instant comfort. To give you an idea, think about a simple 60-watt light bulb. If you left that bulb on for just 20 minutes, it would use more energy than fully charging your phone. From zero, or boiling a small kettle for tea, uses about as much energy as charging your phone for several months. That's how small the amount really is. So, the energy itself is tiny, but the understanding of it can feel heavy. We live in a world where immense complex systems run silently in the background, providing what we need with barely a thought. The regret isn't about the cost, but perhaps how easily we take such incredible convenience for granted. It's a quiet reminder that even the simplest act, like plugging in a phone, is built upon a vast unseen network of power and effort, often unappreciated. It makes you wonder what else we're overlooking. The truth about that healthy snack. Have you ever picked up a snack? Bright and colorful, marked with words like natural or wholesome, and just felt good about eating it. You trusted the label, trusted the feeling it gave you. But here's the thing, sometimes understanding what's really in that package, and why it's labeled that way, is an idea you might regret learning. It's about seeing past a simple story. For a long time, food was just food. People ate what grew, or what they prepared, simply. There wasn't much need for fancy words on packages, because most food wasn't packaged at all. Then, as our world got more complicated, food became something to process, to sell, to market on a huge scale. Companies learned how to use words and images to make us feel like something was good for us, even if it wasn't exactly true. It's not always a mean trick. It's often just a clever way to make you choose their product over another. The regret comes from when you suddenly see this illusion clearly, and the simple belief you held just goes away. Think about a fruit snack that promises real fruit. You might imagine it's almost like eating an apple or a handful of berries straight from the tree. But here's what I found. Often, those little fruit chews are mostly sugar and corn syrup, with just a tiny bit of fruit puree, and then lots of added colors and flavors to make them seem appealing. The actual fruit content is so small, it barely impacts your health. It's like someone showed you a beautiful painting of a sunset, and you truly believed you were watching the real thing unfold in the sky. You were drawn in by the bright colors and the happy name. Once you understand this difference, once you see past the bright packaging and the friendly, reassuring words, you can't unsee it. That simple trust, that easy belief that healthy means truly healthy starts to fade. You become more aware, more thoughtful about your choices, not just with food, but with other things too. But there's also a quiet regret for the lost innocence, for the days you could just grab something without questioning the deeper story behind it. It's a new, deeper understanding, and that's valuable. But it does cost you a little bit of that easy, unthinking joy and simple faith. Why some plants can actually hurt you. Consider a quiet forest filled with green life. Does every plant offer only peace, or can beauty sometimes hide a silent warning? It's a strange thought that something so still and seemingly gentle could hold a threat. But here's the thing: plants, like all living things, need to survive. And over millions of years, some have developed powerful ways to protect themselves from things that want to eat them or harm them. It's their quiet defense. They can't run away, right? So, instead, they create chemicals inside their leaves, stems, or berries. These chemicals are like tiny, invisible shields. For thousands of years, early humans had to learn this the hard way. They were explorers of a new world, trying different plants for food or medicine. Sometimes they discovered that a bright, inviting berry or a soft-looking leaf could lead to sickness, pain, or even death. It was a harsh, slow lesson, but it taught them to be deeply observant. They learned that true understanding often means looking past the surface. Think of it like a stop sign that isn't red. It might just look like a normal signpost, but if you knew the secret, you'd know it means danger. For a plant, its stop sign might be a chemical that makes you itch, or a bitter taste that tells an animal to spit it out. It's not about being mean, it's just the plant's way of saying, "Don't touch me. I want to keep growing." So, even in nature's quiet places, there's a deeper lesson. Not everything that appears gentle is harmless. Understanding this isn't about fear, it's about wisdom. It's about knowing the world is full of different kinds of life, each with its own ways of surviving. And knowing this helps us move through the world with respect, and with open but careful eyes. The cost of convenience. Have you ever stopped to think about how much we love things to be easy? We want quick answers, fast food, and instant delivery. Here's the thing: convenience is all about getting what you want with the least amount of effort. It feels good to save time, right? To just tap a button and have something appear. For a long time, people have tried to make life simpler. Even ancient societies invented tools to make work easier, like wheels or simple machines. They wanted to lift heavy things with less strength or travel faster, and that makes sense. But some wise thinkers, even way back then, wondered what we might lose when everything becomes too simple. They thought maybe the effort itself had value. They worried about a life where people didn't have to struggle or learn to make things happen. Think about ordering dinner. You pull out your phone, open an app, and with a few taps, a meal is on its way. It's super convenient. But here's what you don't do. You don't pick out fresh ingredients at a store. You don't learn how to chop vegetables or mix spices. You don't feel the warmth of the stove or the satisfaction of creating something with your own hands. You might not even talk to another person. The process is hidden away. So when we choose easy, what are we giving up? Are we losing skills we used to have? Do we forget how much work goes into making the things we consume? And does it make us less connected to the world around us, and even to ourselves? It's not about saying convenience is bad, but about understanding that there's often a quiet trade-off. It's a gentle cost we might not see right away. That feeling when you realize you were wrong. Have you ever had that strange, quiet moment? You're sure about something, really sure, and then, boom, it just changes. That feeling when your whole idea of how something works flips upside down. It's not just about being wrong on a math problem. This is deeper. It's about a belief you held, maybe about how people act, or how the world operates. And then new information comes, or you see something in a different way. Suddenly, the old way of thinking just doesn't fit anymore. For a long, long time, people believed the sun went around the earth. It made sense, right? You see the sun moving across the sky every day. This was called the geocentric model. Everyone, even smart thinkers like Aristotle, agreed. But then, astronomers like Nicolaus Copernicus and later Galileo Galilei started looking closer. They used new tools, new ways of thinking, and they realized, no, it's the Earth that goes around the sun. That was a massive shift, not just a science fact, but how people saw their place in the universe. It felt uncomfortable for many at first. to let go of such a long-held belief. Think about when you're building something with LED. You have a plan in your head, a picture of what it should look like. You build a whole section, feeling proud. Then you look at the instructions again, or realize a piece is missing for the next step, and you see it. Your whole design for that part is wrong. You have to take it apart, brick by brick. It feels a bit annoying, right? All that work. But then you rebuild it the right way, and it fits perfectly. That's a small version of realizing you were wrong. Here's the thing. Realizing you're wrong isn't a failure. It's a moment of growth. It shows you're open to learning. It means you're brave enough to change your mind. Our understanding of the world is always evolving, just like us. So, that quiet feeling, that little jolt of being wrong, it's actually a sign of wisdom, a step closer to seeing things clearly. It makes room for new, better truths. How much paper we waste every day. Have you ever really thought about paper? Not just the notebooks for school, but all of it. It's a quiet, everyday thing, but when you look closely, it holds a surprisingly deep truth about us. We print, we write, we wrap, we discard. So much paper passes through our hands without a second thought. Think of how many crumpled homework sheets, how many quick-read receipts tossed, or how many paper towels used once. It piles up in places we don't always see. For a long time, in human history, paper was precious. Imagine scribes in ancient Egypt carefully unrolling papyrus, or monks spending years to copy a single book by hand onto parchment. Every word was an effort. Every sheet was a treasure. They knew the tree that became the page, the time it took. Knowledge itself was held on rare, expensive materials, meant to last generations. But here's the thing about today. Paper is everywhere. It's cheap. It's disposable. It's in our coffee cups, our packaging, our bills, our ads. It's the paper napkin used for minutes, then gone. It's the stack of junk mail straight to recycling, or worse, the trash. Think about your school. Every student, teacher, office worker, consider all the printouts, notes, tests. It's like a quiet, constant snowfall, settling then melting away into waste. So, what does this tell us? It's not about blame. It's about understanding. We live in a world of such abundance that we often forget the true cost of things, even something as simple as a piece of paper. Maybe the regret is in realizing how easily we turn forests into fleeting messages, how we transform something slow-grown and vital into something used for mere moments. It makes you wonder what we truly value when the record of our thoughts becomes so easily discarded. The history behind old, scary stories. Have you ever wondered why people started telling scary stories in the first place? Think about it. Long, long ago, before science explained everything, the world was a very different, much scarier place. People lived with constant mysteries. The rustle in the dark woods could be anything. A strange sickness could strike a village for no clear reason. The wild, untamed world held many unknowns, and humans have always tried to make sense of what they don't understand. So, here's the thing. Scary stories weren't just for fun. They were a way for people to explain the unexplainable. If someone vanished, maybe a monster took them. If crops failed, perhaps a dark spirit was angry. These tales gave a shape to the fear, a name to the invisible threat. They were like early lessons, too. Don't go into the deep forest alone could become a story about a lurking creature, teaching caution in a memorable, frightening way. Imagine you're alone in your room at night. The house creaks. A shadow moves strangely in the corner of your eye. Your brain, in that moment, tries to make sense of it. Is it just the wind, or is it something more? Often, our minds fill in the gaps with the scariest possibility. That's a bit like how old scary stories began. People heard strange sounds outside their huts, saw odd shapes in the mist, and their minds created a narrative to fit the fear. These old tales, passed down through generations, reveal so much about what truly scared people. They show us how humans tried to cope with death, disease, and the raw power of nature. And that's why it matters today. When we hear these stories, we're not just listening to tales of monsters and ghosts. We're glimpsing the enduring human struggle to understand the vast, often unsettling world around us, and our deep need to make sense of the darkness, both outside and within ourselves. Why money seems to disappear so fast. Have you ever gotten some money? Maybe from a birthday gift or an allowance, and then a short while later, it just seems to be gone. It's a common feeling, like money has its own secret escape routes, or like it evaporates into thin air. But here's the thing, it's not really vanishing, it's moving, often in ways we don't fully notice or track. For thousands of years, money wasn't just coins or bills. Early on, people traded goods directly, like exchanging a basket of apples for a new tool or animal skin. When coins first came around, they were valuable because they were made of precious metals, like gold or silver. They were heavy, real, and you could feel their worth. But over time, money became less about the physical object and more of an idea, a symbol for value. It became paper, then just numbers on a screen in a bank account. This change means money can feel less real than it used to, which can make it easier to spend without feeling its true weight. Think of it like this. Imagine trying to track every single drop of water you use in a day. You drink some, you wash your hands, you brush your teeth, the toilet flushes, maybe a quick shower. Each action uses only a small amount. But if you added up all those tiny amounts throughout the day, you'd be surprised how much water has passed through your pipes. Money works much the same way. We often clearly see the big purchases, like a new video game or a concert ticket. But what about the small, almost invisible things? That snack from the vending machine, a streaming service subscription that comes out automatically each month, a few dollars for a phone app or a song. Each small expense seems tiny on its own, barely a ripple. But all those small ripples, added together, create a big wave that quietly carries your money away. This feeling of money disappearing isn't a trick. It's often a quiet lesson about how we value things and how isolated small choices can add up. It makes us think about what we truly need, what we deeply want, and where our resources truly go. Understanding this isn't about feeling bad or guilty, but about seeing the hidden currents of our financial lives more clearly. And that awareness can bring a quiet sense of understanding and even a kind of control over our choices. That everyone feels awkward sometimes. Have you ever felt that strange, tight knot in your stomach, that feeling like you just want to disappear? It's a moment when your cheeks get hot and you suddenly feel very clumsy. This is awkwardness. It's that uncomfortable buzz you get when you're not sure what to do or say, or when you feel like you've said or done the wrong thing. It's like a tiny, personal earthquake, shaking up your confidence for a moment. Here's the thing, this feeling isn't new. People have probably felt awkward for as long as humans have lived together in groups. Think about it, even ancient philosophers, wise as they were, must have had moments where they tripped on a toga or said something silly at a gathering. It's part of being human, a tiny signal our brains send that says, hey, you're aware of how you fit in or how you might stick out. This feeling often comes from a deep human need to connect and belong. And when that connection feels off, we notice. Imagine walking into a quiet lunchroom, then suddenly your foot catches and your whole tray of food goes flying. The clatter echoes and every single person turns to look at you. That immediate, burning sensation, that urge to become invisible, that's awkwardness. Or maybe you told a joke, and instead of laughter, there was just a long, quiet silence. These moments feel huge when they happen, but here's what's really deep about it. This feeling, as uncomfortable as it is something almost everyone experiences. It's a shared part of the human journey. Knowing this can help you. It means you're not alone when you feel it. It reminds us that we are all just trying our best to navigate this world, sometimes gracefully, sometimes clumsily. And in a way, that shared feeling of awkwardness can quietly connect us, showing us we're all in this together. The true meaning of forever. Have you ever stopped to really think about what forever means? We use the word pretty often, right? This homework is taking forever. Or I want this summer to last forever. But when we say that, do we actually mean without end? Or do we just mean a really, really long time? Here's the thing. For most of human history, and even now, the idea of forever has puzzled people. Is there a time that never stops? Does anything truly last forever? Think about the sun in our sky. It feels like it's always been there and always will be. But scientists tell us the sun has a lifespan. It won't burn forever. Our planet won't last forever in its current form. Even mountains, which seem so solid and eternal, slowly change and erode over millions of years. So, when we talk about forever, we often mean something that outlives us, something that seems incredibly vast compared to our own lives. Think of a family story passed down through generations. It feels like it's been around forever. Or the way a really powerful song can make you feel like its message will last through time, even when the music stops playing. It's not literally endless, but its impact stretches far beyond a single moment. Here's an example. Imagine you've written a special letter to your future self, or buried a time capsule. You hope it will be found someday, perhaps by someone, many, many years from now. You might say, I hope this lasts forever. You know it won't physically last without end, but you're hoping its meaning, its message, continues to exist and be understood for a very long time. Maybe forever isn't about time never ending. Instead, it's about something that becomes so deeply woven into the fabric of existence, or into our hearts, that it feels infinite. It's about ideas, memories, or love that persist, even when the world around them changes. It's a way we talk about things that matter so much, they feel like they should never fade away. And that's a beautiful way to think about it. How much work goes into a simple video game? Have you ever tapped away at a simple game, maybe something like Flappy Bird, and just played without a second thought? It feels so easy, so immediate, like it just sprang into being. But here's the thing, even the simplest video game, the kind that might fit on an old flip phone, hides a surprising amount of effort. The very first video games, like Pong, seemed so basic, just 2 paddles and a dot. But someone had to dream up every tiny rule, every single movement. Someone had to write thousands of hidden instructions for those dots and lines. It was a whole new language of logic, telling the machine exactly what to do. Every jump, every score, every little sound effect, it all had to be designed, drawn, coded, and tested, over and over again. It wasn't just one person making it up as they went. Think about a single, simple drawing you do, like a basic stick figure. It looks easy, but you had to decide every line, every curve, what color it was. Now, what if that stick figure needed to walk across a page, pick up an object, and react when you touched it? Suddenly, that simple drawing needs many, many more decisions, more details, more planning. You'd need to draw it from different angles, decide how it moves, what sounds it makes. It's no longer just a few lines. It becomes a project that's a bit like a simple video game. It's a quiet understanding that even the simplest things we encounter, like a short song or a basic tool, are built on layers of unseen effort. We might regret not seeing this before, feeling a small loss of that easy ignorance. But here's what I found. Looking deeper at these hidden efforts can be a quiet wonder. It teaches us that true simplicity often comes from incredible hard work, making us see the world with a little more depth and appreciation. The sad truth about some historical events, sometimes we learn about history in school, like facts and dates. But have you ever stopped to think about how it really felt to live through those times? What it meant for regular people, not just the names in books. Here's the thing. Sometimes, the more you learn about certain moments in the past, the heavier they become. It's not just about knowing what happened, but understanding the real, deep human cost involved. Think about it this way. Imagine you see a very old, beautiful building. At first, you might just admire its grand design, its impressive height, or the intricate details. You think about how amazing it is that it's still standing after so long. But then, you learn about how it was built. You discover that it was constructed by people who worked incredibly long hours, in dangerous conditions, maybe for very little pay. Their lives were often hard, full of struggle and sacrifice, just to create this structure. Suddenly, the building still looks beautiful, but your understanding of it changes. It carries a new layer, doesn't it? The beauty is still there, but it's now mixed with the quiet echoes of those who labored, those silent struggles. You can't unknow that part. And that feeling, that mix of admiration and a quiet sorrow, is the regret understanding we're talking about with history. It isn't about becoming cynical or only seeing the bad. It's about fully grasping the complexity of human experience. History isn't just a simple story of heroes and villains. It's a messy blend of difficult choices, fear, hope, and often, profound suffering. When we open ourselves to these deeper truths, even the ones that make us feel a little sad, we become more aware. We see the world and its people with more empathy, and that helps us understand ourselves and each other better, too. It's a quiet knowing, a deep hum of reality that stays with you. Why the news can be so depressing. Have you ever wondered why checking the news often leaves you feeling a bit heavy, like a dark cloud has settled over your day? It's a common feeling, and it's not just about what's happening in the world. It's also about how our brains are built. Don't think about our very distant ancestors. For them, knowing about a dangerous animal or an upcoming storm was much more important for survival than knowing about a new, pretty flower. Their brains got really good at spotting threats and problems. This ancient wiring, this deeply ingrained instinct to pay attention to danger, is still active in us today. Our minds naturally lean towards what could be wrong, what needs fixing, or what might hurt us. So, when it comes to the news, what do you think gets reported most often? It's the conflicts, the disasters, the unfairness, the things that go wrong. These stories are like the threats of our modern world. They grab our attention because our brains are trained to look for them. It's not that good things aren't happening, but the dramatic, negative events tend to be what make the headlines. They feel more urgent, more important to know about. Imagine you're in your school cafeteria during lunch. There are dozens of kids quietly eating, talking, and laughing. You probably don't pay much attention to them. But if someone suddenly drops their entire tray, making a huge crash, every single person in the room instantly turns to look. That loud, messy event captures everyone's focus. The news works a lot like that dropped tray. The world is full of quiet, positive things happening all the time. But the big, loud, negative events are what get reported and noticed. Understanding this helps us see the news differently. It shows us one side of the human story, often the harder, more challenging side. It reminds us of problems that need our attention and kindness. But it also helps us remember that the world is much bigger than just its troubles. There's so much quiet good, so many everyday efforts that don't make headlines but truly hold things together. It's a balance to find, watching the news without letting its weight completely overshadow the hope and effort that also exist. That some problems are bigger than you think. Have you ever tried to fix something, only to find it's much more complicated than you first thought? Maybe a small leak turned out to be a rusted pipe. Here's the thing. Some problems in our world are like that, but on a huge scale. They look simple at first, but they are actually connected to many other things, like a giant, tangled web. For a long time, people often looked for one easy answer to big challenges. If a village had less food, they might just think, plant more. But thinkers over centuries realized things are rarely that simple. They saw one issue tied to the weather, the soil, the tools, how people shared land, or even what neighbors were doing. This idea, that many parts work together to create a situation, is an old concept, now understood more fully. Consider plastic waste. When you see a plastic bottle on the ground, you might think, someone littered, and that's true, in a way. But the problem of plastic waste is much bigger. It's about how much plastic we make, how we dispose of it, how hard it is to recycle, and how ocean currents carry it. It's not just one person littering, it's a whole system of making, using, and discarding that creates this giant issue. That one bottle is just a tiny piece of a very big puzzle. When we start to see these larger connections, it can feel a little overwhelming. It's like seeing a stage much bigger than you expected, with countless parts all moving together. But here's what's important. This understanding doesn't mean we should give up. Instead, it invites us to think more deeply. It helps us be curious, ask more questions, and look beyond the obvious. Real solutions often need us to understand the whole picture, be patient, and work together. It helps us approach the world with more care. The idea of truly being alone. Have you ever really thought about what it truly means to be completely alone? Not just being by yourself in a room, or even without friends for a bit. We're talking about a deeper kind of aloneness, one where no one else can truly step into your mind or fully grasp your inner world. It's a quiet, powerful thought, isn't it? For thousands of years, thinkers and philosophers have wondered about this very question. They explored the idea that while we share many experiences, each of our minds is uniquely ours. Imagine this: your thoughts, your feelings, every memory, and your very consciousness exist only inside your own head. No other person can ever truly enter your mind to feel exactly what you feel, or know precisely what you know. It's like living within your own personal, silent bubble of existence, even when you're surrounded by people you love. Here's a simple way to think about it. Remember a time you tried to explain a really vivid dream to someone. You could describe the wild scenes, the strange emotions, the confusing story. But no matter how carefully you picked your words, that person couldn't see the exact colors you saw, or feel the specific fear or joy you felt in that dream. They could only imagine it. Your dream, in its purest form, was yours alone, and that's the powerful part of this idea. This sense of being truly alone in our inner experience isn't necessarily sad or scary. Instead, it's just how we are designed. Each person is like their own universe of feelings, memories, and ideas, unfolding in a way only they can fully perceive. Understanding this can actually make us appreciate the moments we do connect, the times we feel genuinely understood by another, even more deeply. It reminds us how incredibly special and unique each individual's journey truly is. It's a quiet, profound truth that shapes how we see ourselves and the world around us, knowing that our deepest self remains a wonderfully private world. How much time is spent cleaning? Have you ever stopped to really think about it? Not just the big cleanups, but all the tiny moments. Wiping down a desk, doing dishes after dinner, sweeping a floor. If you added up all those minutes, all those hours, across a lifetime, how much of our lives do we spend just trying to keep things tidy? Here's the thing, cleaning isn't a task you finish and then it's done forever. It's a continuous process, a quiet battle against the way things naturally tend to fall apart. Dust gathers, things get messy, food spoils. It's almost like the world itself is always trying to return to a state of disarray, and we are constantly pushing back. Think about a sandcastle on the beach. You build it perfectly, but the wind and waves are always working to flatten it. You have to keep patching it up, adding sand, just to keep it standing. Long ago, people didn't have fancy vacuums or dishwashers, but they still had to clean. They swept dirt floors, scrubbed pots with sand, washed clothes in rivers. This need to clean, to organize, seems deeply human. It's a way we try to control our surroundings, to make our space feel safe and comfortable. It's like our own bodies are constantly cleaning. Our cells are always repairing themselves, fighting off sickness, getting rid of waste. It's a silent, non-stop effort to stay healthy. So, when you're scrubbing a pan or making your bed, it's more than just a chore. It's a small act of bringing order to chaos. It's a tiny way we try to make sense of our world. Maybe it's a quiet acceptance of how things are, and our gentle resistance to it. It makes you wonder about the bigger picture, doesn't it? The endless, unseen effort behind all things. The truth about perfect hair and makeup. Have you ever really looked at those perfect faces in magazines or on screen? Hair just right, skin flawless, eyes sparkling. We might think, they must wake up like that, or why don't I look like that? But here's the thing, that perfect image, it's not something people are simply born with. It's built. Beauty standards have long been shaped, not found. Think about ancient Egypt. People painted thick lines around their eyes and used hair extensions. In old Hollywood, stars spent hours in makeup chairs, with teams creating their famous looks. Even paintings from hundreds of years ago showed ideal features, not always how people truly looked. These perfect visions were carefully designed by artists. They were not just everyday reality. It's like a beautifully arranged bouquet of flowers. You know, someone picked each stem and placed it just right. It didn't grow that way. The perfect look works much the same. Think of photos online, often filtered or edited. A slight blur, a brighter color, a smoother line. Each change moves it further from natural reality towards an ideal that doesn't really exist. It's a designed image, not natural. So, understanding this changes how we see things. The regret isn't wanting to look good, but realizing we chased an image that was never truly real. It's like learning the secret behind a magic trick. Once you know how the rabbit was pulled from the hat, the mystery goes away, and so does the pressure to do it yourself without the hidden tricks. It's a quiet freedom, knowing true beauty isn't about matching a fake ideal. It's about seeing honesty in what is, helping us feel more at peace with our own unedited selves. Why the weather changes so much. Have you ever watched a sunny day turn cloudy in an hour, or felt a sudden chill even though it was warm that morning? It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Why is the sky so restless? Here's the thing, our planet is always moving. The weather is mostly about how the sun heats different parts of Earth. Some spots get a lot of sun, like near the equator, making the air warm and light. Other spots, like the poles, get less sun, so that air is cold and heavy. Cold, heavy air wants to move towards warm, light air. This creates winds. Water also plays a huge part. When the sun heats water, it turns into vapor and goes into the air. This vapor can then form clouds, rain, or snow. It's a big dance between sun, air, and water, always shifting. Thinkers, long ago, even ancient Greeks, tried to understand this constant change. They saw it as the world's breath, or the moods of gods. But as people looked closer, measuring and observing, they realized it wasn't magic. It was a complex system, a giant machine, always working, always adjusting. This showed us that even things that seem random, like a sudden storm, have rules, a hidden order. It's a lot like a giant, slow wave in a swimming pool. If you push water to one side, it will rush to the other, making ripples. Earth's atmosphere is like that pool. The sun's heat pushes the air around. This push creates currents and storms, moving weather systems around the globe. One part gets warm, expands, then cool air rushes in to take its place. So, the ever-changing weather isn't just a nuisance. It's a deep reminder of how connected everything is on our planet. Every ray of sun, every drop of water, every gust of wind is part of a grand, endless cycle. It shows us that life is always in motion, always transforming, never truly still. And maybe, understanding that helps us feel a little more at peace with our own changing days. That even heroes have flaws. Have you ever thought about what makes someone a hero? We often imagine them as perfect, right, strong, brave, always making the right choices. But here's the thing, realizing that even the greatest heroes, the ones we look up to, have weaknesses. That's a deep understanding. It makes you see the world differently. This isn't about saying heroes aren't good. It's about seeing them as fully human. This idea isn't new. For thousands of years, people told stories about powerful figures with human weaknesses. Think about old Greek myths. Their gods and goddesses, immortal and powerful, often got jealous or made selfish choices. Zeus, king of the gods, was famously flawed. Philosophers explored how being human means carrying both light and shadow. They suggested wisdom comes from recognizing these imperfections. It's a reminder that no one, no matter how famous or good, is completely free from error. Think about your favorite sports star or musician. You see them on TV, making incredible plays or singing perfectly. They seem flawless, but off the field or stage, they have bad days. Maybe they get frustrated or struggle like anyone else. It's like seeing a strong oak tree. From a distance, it looks perfect, but closer, you might find a broken branch or rough bark. These aren't flaws that ruin the tree. They are part of its story, part of what makes it real and strong. And that's what we're talking about here. So, what does this mean for us? When we understand that heroes aren't perfect, it teaches us about empathy. It helps us be kinder, not just to others, but to ourselves. It shows that struggling or making a mistake doesn't mean you're not valuable. Instead, it means you're human. And seeing the full picture of someone, flaws and all, lets us truly appreciate their real strength, the kind that comes from facing challenges. It's a quiet truth that can bring peace. The sheer number of living things around you. Have you ever stopped to really think about all the life around you? Not just the big things, like pets or trees. I mean, truly, all the living things. Billions upon billions, often right next to you, even on you, unseen. For a long time, people only knew about life they could see. Animals, plants, bugs. But then, in the 1600s, Antonier van Leeuwenhoek used a simple microscope. What he saw in a drop of pond water changed everything. He saw tiny creatures swimming around, things no human had imagined. Suddenly, the world wasn't just big, it was incredibly small, full of life we couldn't guess at. This was a huge realization, showing us how much more there was. Here's the thing, think about a single spoonful of soil from your backyard. Just one scoop. That dirt holds more living creatures, bacteria, fungi, tiny worms, unseen insects, than all the people in your town. Or think about your own skin. It's home to trillions of bacteria and other microbes. Most are actually helping you, keeping you healthy. You're like a walking, talking ecosystem. This understanding can feel a bit overwhelming, right? But here's what I found. It also connects you. It makes you realize you're not just one person in a big world. You are part of this enormous, intricate, living web. Every breath, every step, you share space with countless other lives. It's a quiet, humbling thought. It reminds us how deeply woven together all existence truly is. How much water is used to make things when you put on your favorite t-shirt. Do you ever picture a river? Not just a river, but thousands of liters of water flowing, just to make that one shirt. It's a strange thought, because we usually only see the water we drink or use for a quick shower. But here's the thing, everything around us, from the food we eat to the clothes we wear, needed a lot of water to be made. This is sometimes called virtual water, water that's hidden in the products we buy. For a long time, humans made things. Close to home, you might see the farmer watering crops, or the weaver dipping cloth in a dye vat. It was easier to understand the direct water use. But as the world grew bigger, and things started getting made far away, we lost sight of those hidden flows. We started to regret not knowing just how much water goes into our everyday items. Once you realize it, you can't really unrealize it. Take that t-shirt, it's likely made of cotton. Cotton plants need a lot of water to grow, especially in hot climates. Then, the cotton is picked, cleaned, spun into thread, woven into fabric, and dyed. Each step uses more water. To make just one cotton t-shirt, it takes about 2,700 liters of water. That's enough water for you to drink for nearly 3 years. And it's not just t-shirts. Think about a chocolate bar, a smartphone, or even the paper in your notebook. Each one carries a hidden water footprint. Understanding this changes how you see things. It makes you realize that every item has a deeper story, a connection to the planet's most precious resource. It reminds us that our choices, even small ones, ripple outwards, touching every drop of water. The feeling of not knowing what to do next. Have you ever just stopped, like you're standing there, but your mind is running in circles, and you just don't know what to do next? It's that heavy, confusing moment when you're not sure what your next move should be. Your brain feels foggy, maybe a little empty, even though there might be a problem right in front of you. It's not about being lazy. It's more like your internal compass just stopped spinning. You might see all the possible paths, or maybe no clear paths at all, and none of them feel right. This feeling isn't new. People from hundreds, even thousands of years ago, felt this too. Think about early humans, standing at a crossroads in the forest, wondering which way to go, for food or safety. Or the wise thinkers from long ago. They spent their lives trying to understand the world, but even they knew there were big questions with no easy answers. They understood that sometimes the hardest part isn't finding the answer, but knowing what question to even ask. It's a very human experience. This feeling of being at a loss. Here's an example. Imagine you finish a really intense video game level, and the screen just says, "Next level, unknown." You're geared up, ready for anything, but there's no clear direction, no arrow pointing the way. You just stare at the screen. Or maybe you're building something with LEGOs and you have all the pieces, but the instructions are gone, or there are too many ways to build it. You just stare at the pile, unable to pick the next brick. Psychologists sometimes call this analysis paralysis, which is when having too many choices or not enough information just freezes you. And that's the thing, that feeling, that pause. It's not a failure. It's a natural part of growing. It's a sign that you're at a crossroads, needing to think deeply, or perhaps just needing to breathe and give your mind a break. Sometimes, the wisest thing to do when you don't know what to do next is to simply wait, to watch, to let the dust settle. Because even in the quiet of not knowing, there's a space for a new idea to gently land. Why some friendships just fade away. Have you ever wondered why some friendships, even really good ones, just change? One day you're sharing everything, and the next, it feels like there's a quiet space between you. It's not always a big fight, or a dramatic moment. Sometimes, friendships just slowly drift apart, and that's a truly common experience. Here's the thing, people are always growing. Think about how much you've changed since elementary school, and how much you'll change in the next few years. Your interests shift. What you care about deeply today might be different tomorrow. Ancient Greek thinkers, like Heraclitus, talked about how everything is always flowing, like a river. You can't step into the same river twice, he said, because new waters are always flowing. Our friendships are a bit like that river. The people in them, and the connection itself, are always in motion. Sometimes, the shared ground you stood on shrinks. Maybe you both loved playing the same video game, but one of you moved on to sports, or reading, or a whole new group of friends. It's not anyone's fault. It's just that your paths started to curve in different directions. Think of it like two plants that started growing in the same garden patch. At first, their roots intertwine, but as they grow, one might need more sunlight, or different soil, and it starts to lean away. stretching for what it needs to thrive. Their individual growth leads them apart, even if they started from the same spot. So, when a friendship fades, it often means that the people involved, you and your friend, are evolving. It's a natural part of life, and growing up, you can feel sad, of course, because those memories matter. But it also means you're both becoming more fully yourselves. And sometimes, that quiet drifting is just the universe's way of making room for new connections, new versions of you. It's a quiet understanding that change is okay, even when it feels a little bittersweet. The truth about how food gets to your plate. When you pick up a piece of fruit or eat a meal, do you ever truly stop to think about its journey? Not just from the store, but from the very start. For most of us, food just appears. It's the fact of daily life. But here's the thing. Understanding the full story of how food gets to our plates can be a heavy thought, a kind of knowledge you might almost regret gaining. For a long time, people knew exactly where their food came from. They grew it, traded with a neighbor, or hunted it themselves. There was a clear, direct connection from earth to table. They knew the effort, the seasons, the sun and rain. But over the last 100 years or so, everything changed. Food production became massive, stretching across continents. Our meals now involve huge farms, complex machines, and a long chain of people and processes we never see. It's like looking at a shiny new smartphone. You see the screen, you use the apps. It's amazing, right? But what if you then learned about the rare minerals dug from the earth, the faraway factories, the intense work involved in putting every tiny piece together? That deeper knowledge doesn't make the phone less useful, but it changes how you feel. The simple act of using it suddenly holds more weight. The same can be true for our food. We enjoy our meals, but knowing the systems behind them, the long travel, the environmental impact, the lives of those who grow and pick, can shift our perspective. It's not about feeling bad for eating. It's about seeing the world with clearer eyes. It reminds us that even the most basic things are connected to a much larger, often hidden, story. And sometimes, knowing that story, in all its quiet complexity, asks us to think differently about every bite. That not every question has an answer. Have you ever asked a question, a really big one, and then paused, realizing there might not be a single, clear answer? We grow up learning that most questions have a right or wrong answer, a definite solution, waiting to be found. But here's the thing. Some of the deepest questions we can ask aren't like that at all. Think about it. People have wondered for thousands of years about things like what happens after we die, or why the universe exists. These aren't simple math problems. Ancient thinkers, sitting under the stars, asked these very same questions. And even with all the amazing science and knowledge we have today, those fundamental mysteries still hang in the air, unanswered. We can guess, we can form beliefs, but we don't have a final, undeniable answer that everyone agrees on. Here's an example. Imagine asking, what is consciousness? It's a deep, deep question about what it means to be aware, to think, to feel. Scientists can study the brain, and they learn a lot about how it works. But they still can't tell us exactly what consciousness itself is, or where it truly comes from. It's not something you can just point to or measure with a ruler. It's a mystery that makes us think hard, and that's okay. It might even be beautiful. Realizing that not every question has a neat answer can feel a little strange, maybe even frustrating at first. But it also teaches us something important. There are limits to what we can know. It reminds us to stay curious, to keep exploring, and to be comfortable with the unknown. Sometimes, the most important part isn't finding the answer, but living with the question, letting it stretch our minds, and seeing where our wonder takes us. It keeps the world vast and full of possibility. How much effort a plant needs to grow. Have you ever really stopped to wonder how much work a tiny seed puts in, buried deep underground? It seems so still, so quiet, doesn't it? We often think of effort as something loud and noticeable, a person running a race, or someone studying late into the night for a big test. But what about a plant? It just seems to be soaking up the sun, standing tall. It looks so peaceful. Here's the thing. A plant is constantly, quietly, doing work. From the very moment a tiny seed cracks open, a whole hidden struggle begins. Roots push down through the soil, feeling their way, searching for vital water and nutrients. A stem reaches up, always striving for sunlight, with every leaf turning slowly towards the sun's warmth. They aren't just there. They are actively growing, stretching, transforming simple light, water, and air into their very self. Long ago, people like the ancient Greek thinkers might have seen a tree as just part of nature, simply existing. But now, we understand the deep, complex chemistry, the endless small cellular processes happening inside that plant, minute by minute, day by day. It's a silent, constant push for life, a quiet battle against gravity and shadow. Think about when you learn a new skill, like playing an instrument or getting better at a sport. You sit down, you practice, you fail, and you try again. Maybe you don't feel like you're doing hard work every single second, but over time, all those small, steady efforts add up. You are building something, making yourself stronger, just like a plant builds itself cell by cell. The effort isn't always obvious to others, or even to yourself. It's in the consistent showing up, the quiet dedication. So, the next time you see a strong tree standing tall, remember its long, hidden journey. Remember the quiet, unyielding push towards growth, the deep determination. It shows us that true effort isn't always dramatic or loud. Sometimes, it's just the steady, unseen work happening within, pushing patiently towards life and reaching for the light. And that's why it matters. What looks effortless often hides the deepest, most sustained work. The cycle of seasons and what it means. Have you ever just stopped and felt the seasons changing? Not just noticed it got colder or warmer, but actually felt the deep shift in the air, the way the light changes, the quiet promise of what's next. Here's the thing, the cycle of seasons, spring, summer, fall, winter, is more than just weather patterns. It's a huge, constant story our planet tells us, over and over. For people long ago, before science explained things, the seasons were everything. They watched the trees lose their leaves, stand bare, then burst forth with green life. They saw crops grow, get harvested, and then the land rested. This taught them a deep truth about life. They understood that everything has a time for growth, a time for abundance, a time for letting go, and a time for rest. They learned patience and hope, trusting that after winter, spring would always return. Think about something simpler, like a big project you have for school. At first, you might feel a burst of new energy, like spring, ready to start. Then you're in the thick of it, working hard, like summer. Maybe you get a bit tired, winding down, knowing the end is near, like fall, and then it's done. Or you have a break, a quiet time, like winter. After that rest, something new always begins. You don't stay stuck in one feeling forever, and that's why understanding seasons matters. It's a gentle reminder that nothing truly lasts forever. Not hard times, and not even the happiest times. There's always a shift coming. After quiet, new life often sparks. After letting go, there's room for something fresh. The world makes this quiet promise every year, renewal, and a chance for new beginnings. It's a deep comfort, if you let it be. Why some things are just unfair. Have you ever looked at the world and just felt a knot in your stomach because something wasn't right? Not just a little annoyance, but a deep, heavy feeling that some things are truly, painfully unfair. It's a thought many people try to push away, but it sits there, quiet and stubborn. Here's the thing, sometimes there's no clear bad guy, no one to blame, but the outcome still feels wrong. Think about it. Imagine two seeds planted at the same time. One lands in rich dark soil, bathed in gentle sun and watered just enough. It grows tall and strong, its leaves wide and green. The other falls onto dry, cracked earth by a shadowed wall. It struggles, wilts, and maybe never truly blossoms, no matter how hard it tries. Did the second seed do anything wrong? No. Did the first one earn its perfect spot? Not really. They just landed where they landed. For a long time, people have wrestled with this idea. Ancient thinkers didn't have all the answers. They called it fate, or destiny, or just how the universe worked. It's the understanding that life, in its rawest form, doesn't promise everyone an equal start or a fair share. Some are born with challenges, some with advantages, not because of anything they did. This isn't about being sad or giving up. It's about seeing the world clearly, with open eyes. Knowing that some things are just unfair can actually help us be more kind, more understanding. It reminds us that everyone carries a story we might not know, a hidden struggle or an unearned gift. And that truth, while deep and a little heavy, can make us wonder how we might soften the harsh edges for others. It asks us to look beyond blame and into compassion. The truth about school gossip. Have you ever really stopped to think about school gossip? Like, why does it even exist? It's not just simple talking. It's often stories passed around about people we know, sometimes not even true, or stories that aren't ours to share. It's how information or misinformation moves through our groups, our hallways, our apps. Humans have been doing this for a very long time. Back when we lived in small tribes, knowing about others was important. Was someone trustworthy? Was someone a danger? People shared what they knew to keep the group safe. But somewhere, this need to share became something else. It turned into secrets, judgments, or just filling time. It became a way to connect, but often built walls around others. Think of it like this. Imagine a whisper, starting small in one ear. Then it travels quickly. By the time it reaches the last person, it's often changed, twisted. A tiny spark of truth can become a raging fire of misunderstanding. It's like a social chain reaction, where feelings and assumptions spread faster than facts. Just like if one person starts yawning, soon others might too, even if they don't know why. It's almost a social reflex. And here's the thing, when we spread gossip, we're not just talking about someone else, we're shaping our own world, too. We decide what connections we build. Is it better to understand others deeply, or just pass along quick judgments? Maybe knowing how gossip works helps us see that we have a powerful choice. We can choose to be the person who adds kindness to the air, not just more noise. We can choose to pause before passing something on, and remember that every story has a human heart at its center. That some goodbyes are permanent. We often say goodbye with the quiet understanding that we'll meet again, right? We wave, we plan, we assume. But what if some goodbyes aren't just a pause until next time? What if some partings are truly, deeply permanent? This idea can feel a little heavy, maybe even a bit unsettling. It's not always about a sad ending, but about something fundamental in how the world works. It means that certain moments, certain states, once gone, are truly gone. You can't bring them back. Thinkers from long ago, like the ancient Greeks, often thought about this. One idea, sometimes linked to a philosopher named Heraclitus, was that you can't step into the same river twice. It sounds simple, but it means a lot. The water in the river is always flowing, always changing. So, the river you step into one moment is not the same river even a second later. This teaches us that everything is constantly moving forward, becoming something new. What was is no longer in that exact form, and what is will soon transform. There's a finality to each passing second, each changing state. Consider something simple, like a favorite song playing on the radio. When the song ends, it's over. You can play it again, sure, but that specific listen, that exact moment in time when you heard it, is gone forever. Or think about a freshly baked cookie. Once you eat it, it's gone. You can bake another, but that first one, that first bite, is a permanent goodbye. In science, when ice melts, it becomes water. You can freeze the water again, but the exact ice crystal structure, the way it was before, is gone. It's transformed. Understanding this isn't meant to make us sad or afraid. Instead, maybe it helps us appreciate what we have right now, in this very moment. It's about being fully present for the laughter, for the quiet moments, for the simple joy of being. Each experience is unique, like a single breath that can't be taken again in the exact same way. So, when a goodbye happens, whether to a person, a place, or even just a phase of life, there's a quiet wisdom in accepting that the precise moment, the exact feeling, is fleeting. It encourages us to hold these moments a little closer, not out of fear, but out of a deep respect for their unique, passing nature. It's a calm acceptance of life's natural flow, always changing, always moving, and sometimes letting go for good. How much responsibility adults carry. Have you ever watched an adult, maybe a parent or a teacher, and seen a quiet, heavy look on their face? It's not sadness, but like a silent burden. That feeling is often about responsibility. It's more than just chores or tasks. For adults, it means carrying the needs and well-being of others, or even bigger groups. Their choices can have deep, lasting effects. Think about leaders from ancient times. Tribal elders or kings held immense responsibility. Their decisions about food, safety, or conflicts impacted everyone. They were expected to be wise because the group's future rested on them. Philosophers talked about this. With knowledge comes a duty to use it well. It's not just what you can do, but what you should do for others. Here's the thing. Think about a driver on the road. They aren't just responsible for themselves. They're responsible for every other car, every person crossing the street. One mistake, one moment of distraction, can change many lives. This shows how one person's actions ripple outwards. Adults in your life, like parents, carry this kind of responsibility daily for your safety, education, your future. It's often invisible, but always there. So understanding this changes how you see the world. It's not just what adults tell you to do. It's about the quiet weight they carry, the unseen choices they make to keep things steady and moving forward. It's a lot to hold, isn't it? And maybe, as you grow older, you'll start to feel the gentle touches of that same weight yourself. The way colors look different to some people. Have you ever wondered if the blue you see is exactly the same blue I see? Or if the red of a stop sign truly looks identical to every single person walking by? It's a strange thought, isn't it? To consider that something as basic as how we perceive color might not be a universal experience. Here's the thing. For some people, the world doesn't paint itself in quite the same way. Their eyes and brains work a little differently. This means some colors look different, or blend strangely. It's not about seeing only black and white. Some shades might appear less bright. Colors like reds and greens can look confusingly similar. For a long time, people didn't grasp this difference. Someone might say, "That's clearly red," and not understand why another person called it brown. Scientists had to look closely at our eyes and brains to truly understand. This showed us that what we think of as a shared reality, like the sky's color, is actually unique in each person's mind. Imagine a friend trying to pick out a ripe red strawberry from a bowl of green leaves. For them, that bright red might just look like another shade of green or a muted brown. So, what seems obvious to you is their puzzle. Their world isn't less full, just arranged differently. This idea, that color is seen so differently, is profound. It reminds us our view is just one of many, and that's why it matters. It teaches us about deep empathy. It asks us to consider how others might experience the same moments and colors in a way we can only begin to imagine. Our individual realities are richer and more varied than we realize. Why your phone battery drains so fast? Have you ever wondered why your phone battery always seems to give up on you, often at the worst possible moment? It's not just you, and it's not always because you're playing games or watching videos. There's a deeper reason, a silent, constant hunger happening inside that small device. Here's the thing. Your phone is never truly off unless you switch it down completely. Even when the screen is dark, it's still listening. It's checking for messages, updating apps in the background, talking to cell towers, and looking for Wi-Fi signals. Think of a light switch. When it's on, electricity is still flowing. Your phone has countless tiny, invisible switches always flipped to on, ready for your next command or performing tasks you don't even see. Long ago, before electricity was common, the world went dark with the sunset. Energy was a clear physical thing, wood burning, muscles working. Now, energy is unseen, flowing all around us, powering our constant connections. Our demand for instant information created devices built to consume. It's like a person always thinking, always processing information, even when quiet. Their mind works, using energy just to keep up. Your phone is like that. It's constantly processing, constantly in motion, even in your pocket. This unseen activity drains power, little by little, until suddenly, your screen goes black. This continuous draw isn't a flaw. It's the nature of our always connected world. We've built a reality where machines are always alert, always ready. We've accepted the quiet cost of constant readiness. It reminds us that even when things appear still, hidden consumption is always at play, a continuous whisper of energy being used. It makes you think about how much energy our modern world silently demands, not just from our devices, but from everything around us. The idea of missing out on things. Have you ever scrolled through your phone, seeing pictures of friends at a party you weren't invited to, or heard about an amazing event that happened when you were busy? That little twist in your stomach, that pang of regret or sadness, is the idea of missing out. It's knowing something good is happening elsewhere, and you're not part of it. This feeling isn't new, not by a long shot. People have worried about being left out for as long as we've lived in groups. Imagine ancient humans. If the tribe went out to gather food and you weren't there, it wasn't just about fun. It could mean missing vital information or feeling separated from your community. Thinkers, long before phones, understood that every choice means you choose not to do something else. Picking one path closes off others. The regret of understanding this truth, that you can't experience everything, has always been with us. Here's an example. Think about Friday night. You might be home, studying for a test, while classmates are at the school basketball game. As you stare at your textbook, your mind might drift to the cheering crowd, the game's energy. That feeling is your brain reacting. It's built to connect with others, to be part of the group. When it sees others having experiences you're not, it sends a signal. Hey, you're not there. This isn't a flaw, it's a natural human response. But here's the calm reflection. You can't be everywhere or do everything. No one can. Understanding this idea helps us accept a deeper truth. Every choice you make, every yes to one thing, is a no to countless others. The goal isn't to never feel this pang, because it's human. Acknowledge it, then shift your focus back to the value of what you are doing. Sometimes, a quiet evening at home, reading or resting, is exactly what you need. And that's okay? How much waste comes from packaging? Have you ever opened something new, maybe a toy or a snack, and noticed the extra stuff? Not the item, but the box, plastic foam bits. Where does all that go? Much of the waste we make every day comes from packaging. When you buy almost anything, it's wrapped. Often, that wrapping is used just once, then tossed. This adds up to an unbelievable amount, filling our landfills. For a long time, people didn't package things this way. Imagine a store 100 years ago. You might bring your own container for milk, or buy flour from a big barrel. Things were bought in bulk, or in reusable containers. Wrapping every single cookie wasn't common. But then, convenience became a big goal. We wanted things easy to use. So, packaging grew. We gained ease, but didn't fully see the mountain of trash we were creating. It's one of those ideas you regret understanding once you truly see it. Consider a simple bag of potato chips. The chips are small, but the bag is large, full of air. That bag, it's made of layers of plastic, hard to recycle. Or think about new headphones. They come in a fancy box, with plastic inside. All of it designed to be thrown away after you use it. This isn't just about a full trash can. It's about the resources used to make that packaging, the energy to transport it, and the space it takes up in the ground for hundreds of years. It asks us to consider the hidden costs of our daily lives. Even small choices carry weight in the bigger picture. It's a quiet understanding that shapes how we look at what we buy. The sound of the world waking up. Have you ever woken up really early, before the sun is fully out, and before everyone else? It's a quiet time, and you might hear sounds you usually miss. But this idea of the world waking up isn't just about actual sounds. It's about a different kind of sound, a quiet signal that tells you something about the world you didn't know before. It's about a new understanding emerging. Here's the thing, sometimes, when we truly understand certain ideas, it's like the world reveals its secret hum, the quiet truths we couldn't hear before. For most of history, people just saw what was in front of them. A tree was a tree. The sky was blue. But then, curious minds started to ask, why? They wanted to hear the deeper rhythms of how everything actually worked, to understand the hidden layers. Think about a solid table. It looks and feels completely firm, right? You can't push your hand through it. But here's what scientists found. That table is mostly empty space. Yes, really. The atoms that make up the table are tiny, and there are huge gaps between them. The only reason it feels solid is because of tiny electrical pushes between your hand's atoms and the table's atoms. It's not truly solid how your eyes see it. This understanding changes how you look at everything solid. It's like hearing the silent, vast emptiness within matter itself. This kind of deep understanding can feel strange, maybe a little unsettling. It's like the world you thought you knew suddenly has these new, quiet sounds, new vibrations you can sense. You might sometimes wish you hadn't heard them, because you can't unhear them. But it also means you're hearing the world more fully, truly waking up to its incredible depth and complexity. It's a quiet, powerful shift in how you see reality. Why some songs get stuck in your head. Have you ever had a song just play over and over in your mind? Like a tiny radio turned on inside your head, repeating the same lines or melody again and again. It's a common, sometimes annoying thing that happens to almost everyone. This feeling has a name, an earworm. It's not just random. There's a quiet, deep reason for it. Here's the thing. Our brains love patterns. They try to make sense of everything around us. When a piece of music is simple, catchy, or has a strong rhythm, it creates a pattern the brain easily latches onto. Once it's there, it's hard to let go. Think about how ancient people used drumming or chanting. These repetitive sounds helped people remember stories, connect with feelings, and even move together. Music, even a small tune, has always been a powerful way to shape our thoughts and feelings. So, when a song gets stuck, it's often because of something called the Zeigarnik effect. This just means our brain remembers unfinished tasks better. If you only hear part of a catchy song, or if it stops suddenly, your mind tries to complete it. It's like when you start a puzzle, and your brain keeps nudging you to finish it. Or imagine a short, simple phrase, like a commercial jingle you heard on TV. It's designed to be unforgettable. Just a few notes or words, easy for your brain to grab and hold on to. Your mind repeats it, almost practicing it, and that's why it matters. This simple stuck song tells us something deep about our minds. It shows how deeply sound can root itself within us, how memory works in quiet, persistent ways. Our brains are always busy, always organizing. A looping melody is just a small whisper, reminding us of the powerful ways our own thoughts and memories are always at work, shaping our inner world. The truth about how bodies work. Have you ever stopped to think about what's going on inside you, right this second? Not just your thoughts, but the quiet hum of life within your skin. Our bodies are incredible, and they're also a mystery. Even to us. For a long time, people thought our bodies were simpler, like a clockwork machine. The ancient Greeks, for example, thought health meant balancing for humors, like blood. If one was off, you got sick. That idea seems strange now, but it shows we always tried to make sense of something so complex. But here's what's truly deep. Much of what keeps us alive happens without us ever knowing. Your heart beats, your lungs breathe, your food digests, all on their own. It's like living in a house where the lights, water, and heating just work. You don't control every pipe or wire. You don't even see most of them. They're just always running in the background, keeping everything going. This isn't just about automatic functions. It's about how deeply we are connected to things we don't understand or control. Imagine your immune system, a silent army fighting off invisible invaders every day. Or how a small cut on your finger just knows how to heal itself, stitching skin back together cell by cell. It's a kind of ancient wisdom built into us over millions of years, far older than any thought we've ever had. So, here's what it means. We are not fully in charge of our own bodies. We are vessels for these incredible, silent processes. And realizing that can be a strange, almost humbling thought. It reminds us how delicate and wonderful life is, how much is simply given, operating beyond our conscious reach. We walk around, mostly unaware, carried by these deep, unseen currents. It makes you look at yourself, and everyone else, a little differently, doesn't it? With a quiet awe for the hidden life within. That not everyone thinks like you, do. Have you ever paused and truly wondered if the way you see the world, the things you believe, the thoughts that buzz in your head, are exactly the same as what's going on inside someone else's mind? It's a simple question, but the answer is a quiet no. Each of us carries a whole universe within us. Our experiences, our feelings, our memories, they shape how we understand everything. That personal universe is unique to you. Wise people through history have always seen this. They noticed how two people could look at the same thing, like a star, or hear the same story, and come away with completely different ideas. It's a deep human truth. Your inner world is truly your own. Think about this. You and a friend watch the same movie. You might see the main character as brave, but your friend might see them as reckless. Or you hear a song and feel happy, while someone else hears it and feels sad. It's the same movie, the same song, but your brains process and feel it differently, based on everything that makes you, you. This isn't just about opinions. It means your deepest beliefs. Things you feel are absolutely true, might be totally new to another person. It can feel a little lonely to realize this, like you're separated by invisible walls. But here's the thing, it also opens up so much. It means there are billions of ways to see, feel, and understand. This makes empathy really important. Even if we don't think exactly alike, Learning about another person's unique world is one of the most powerful things we can do. It makes the world a much bigger, more interesting place. How much things change over time. Have you ever stopped to think about how much things truly shift? It's a strange idea, because we often think things are solid, fixed, like a mountain. But here's the thing, everything is always moving, always becoming something new. It's like a quiet river flowing, even when it looks calm. This isn't a new thought. Ancient thinkers talked about this thousands of years ago. There was a Greek philosopher named Heraclitus. He once said, "You can never step into the same river twice." Think about it. When you step into a river, the water around your feet is already flowing past. By the time you lift your foot, that exact water is gone, replaced by new water. And the riverbed might have shifted a tiny bit, so it's not the same river, not really. But this idea applies to more than just rivers. Take yourself, for example. You might look the same each day, but are you? The cells in your body are always replacing themselves. Your mind takes in new ideas, learning things, changing how you see the world. The person you were last year, or even last month, is not quite the person you are now. Your favorite song from last year might not even be on your playlist anymore. That's what change feels like. Sometimes, understanding this constant movement can feel heavy. If everything changes, does anything truly last? But here's the thing, maybe that's okay. It also means difficult moments don't stay forever. It means there's always room for growth, for a different way of seeing things, for new chances. Things shift, they move, and in that movement, there's a quiet kind of hope. The small decisions that lead to big things. Have you ever stopped to think about how tiny choices can change everything? It's a quiet question, but a powerful one. We often focus on big moments, but sometimes it's the almost invisible things that truly shift our paths. It's like dropping a pebble into a very still pond. The pebble is small, but watch the water. The ripples spread out, getting bigger and bigger, reaching far beyond where the pebble first landed. Our lives work a lot like that. One small decision, a path chosen or not chosen, can set off a chain of events that leads somewhere completely unexpected. You might not even realize it's happening. Ancient thinkers spent a lot of time considering this. They wondered about how our own actions, even the smallest ones, build up to create our futures. It's the idea that every cause has an effect. History itself is full of these moments. A king changing his mind, a missed letter, a chance meeting. Each seemed small, yet they shaped nations and sparked big changes. Think about something more familiar. Imagine you're walking home from school, and you decide to take a slightly different street, just because you feel like it. On that street, you spot a flyer for a club you never knew existed. You decide to check it out. Maybe you meet a new friend there, who then introduces you to another, and soon your whole social circle, or even your interests, have shifted. That new path started with a simple, unplanned turn. So, here's the thing. It reminds us that our small actions, our everyday choices, even our quiet thoughts, hold a kind of silent power. They might seem insignificant, like tiny threads, but they are truly pieces in a much larger tapestry. Every day, with every step and every decision, we are creating those ripples, shaping what comes next. And that's a pretty deep thought, isn't it? It means every moment, no matter how small, has a quiet kind of importance. Why some animals are endangered. Have you ever stopped to wonder why some creatures, like the majestic tiger or the gentle panda, are so rare, almost whispers in the wild? Here's the thing, many animals are facing a silent crisis. They're what we call endangered, meaning their kind is on the brink of disappearing forever. For a long time, the world seemed vast and untouched. Animals roamed freely, finding what they needed. But as human populations grew, we started to change the landscape in big ways. Forests were cleared for farms and cities. Wetlands were drained. This is a huge part of the problem. Animals lose their homes, their habitats. It's like if someone came and built a highway right through your house. Where would you go? Then there's climate change. The Earth's warming up, and weather patterns are shifting. This might sound simple, but for an animal it means their food source could vanish, or their traditional breeding grounds might become too hot, too dry, or too wet. It's hard for them to pack up and move when their entire world is changing so quickly. And we can't forget pollution. Trash in the oceans, chemicals in the rivers, smoke in the air. These things harm animals directly. They get sick, or their food sources become tainted. It's like trying to live in a house that's constantly filled with dirty air or unsafe water. No one can thrive like that. Think about it like this. Imagine your favorite local park, the one with the big oak trees and the small stream. Squirrels, birds, and insects all depend on that park. But what if people started building houses all over it, cutting down the trees and paving the stream? Soon, there'd be no place for those animals to live, no food, no water. They'd just disappear on a much bigger scale. That's what's happening to many endangered animals across the planet. It brings a quiet sadness, doesn't it? To understand that our choices, often without us even realizing it, can push other living things towards silence. It reminds us of how truly connected everything is, and the deep, silent responsibility we carry for the wild beauty of the world. The feeling of being misunderstood. Have you ever felt like you were speaking one language, but everyone else was hearing another? It's a strange, quiet ache, isn't it? This isn't just about someone getting your words wrong. It's deeper than that. It's when your true meaning doesn't quite land. It's like trying to share a vivid dream, but the listener only hears disconnected images. You know what you meant, but it just wasn't seen. For thousands of years, people have wrestled with this. Ancient thinkers pondered how we truly know another person's mind. They wondered if perfect sharing of an idea was even possible. Thinkers like Socrates, from ancient Greece, spent his life asking questions. He wanted people to truly explain what they meant, because he knew how easily we talk past each other. This is a very human problem. Our inner worlds are rich and unique, and sometimes it's tough to build a perfect bridge from one mind to another. Here's the thing. Imagine you send a text message to a friend. You use sarcasm, thinking it's obvious, but they can't hear your tone or see your smile. So, they take it seriously and get upset. You didn't intend to hurt them, but your message was misunderstood. The meaning got lost, not between languages, but between different understandings. Your intention was one thing, their reaction, another. This happens all the time in everyday life, and that's why it matters. The feeling of being misunderstood can make us feel alone, even in a crowd. It reminds us that each of us holds a unique world inside. But here's what I found. Seeing this doesn't have to be sad. Instead, it can make us more patient and more careful with our words. It helps us remember that everyone is making sense of the world from their own special view. This is a shared human struggle, and understanding it can actually connect us, making us more empathetic to the gaps between us. How much effort goes into building a house? Have you ever stopped to really think about the sheer amount of work that goes into building a single house? Not just the hammering and sawing, but everything that happens before and after. It's easy to see a finished home and just think it appeared. But here's the thing. It's an incredible journey. First, someone has an idea, a vision. Then, architects draw detailed plans, making sure everything is safe and strong. Engineers calculate every beam and wire. Then come the land surveys, permits, and digging foundations. Think of all the different people involved. Plumbers, electricians, roofers, painters, landscapers. Each person is a specialist, bringing their unique skills. It's like a massive team project where every part needs to fit perfectly. For thousands of years, humans have sought shelter. Early humans built simple huts from wood, mud, or animal skins. Often, it was a community effort, everyone helping. Over time, we learned about materials, about making things last. We figured out how to use stone, then brick, then steel. Each step built on the knowledge of those who came before. Every nail driven, every pipe laid, carries echoes of that long, human story. Think about building a complex Lego set, one of those huge ones with thousands of pieces. You don't just dump the box and hope for the best. You follow instructions, piece by piece, sometimes having to undo something if it wasn't quite right. It takes patience, careful planning, and many individual steps that slowly add up to something big and impressive. A house is like that, but much bigger, with real-world gravity and weather to worry about. So, the next time you look at a building, any building, maybe you'll see more than just walls and a roof. Maybe you'll see the invisible layers of effort, the thousands of hours, the quiet dedication, and the long history of human smarts woven into its very structure. It's a humbling thought, how much hidden work supports our everyday lives. The truth about what makes people happy. Have you ever stopped to really think about what makes people happy? Not just for a moment, like getting a new video game or your favorite snack, but a deeper, lasting kind of happiness. We often chase things we think will make us happy: more money, more likes, cooler stuff. But those feelings usually fade. The real truth about happiness is both complicated and simple. For centuries, people have wrestled with this idea. Ancient thinkers in old Greece, for example, knew real happiness wasn't just about feeling good all the time. They talked about living a good life, one full of meaning and purpose. It was about growing as a person, being good to others, and using your skills for something bigger than yourself. This idea has echoed through history. True happiness comes from how you live and connect, not from what you own. Think about this. Remember finishing a really hard group project for school. You worked hard, even argued, but pushed through it together. When it finally goes well, that feeling isn't just relief. It's deep satisfaction. You learned, you collaborated, you overcame. Or when you spend time just talking and laughing with your best friends, not doing anything special, just being together. That warm, connected feeling lasts longer than the excitement of a new phone. So, here's what I found. Happiness isn't a treasure chest at the end of a map. Instead, it's like tending a garden. You plant seeds of kindness, water them with genuine connection, and watch them grow with purpose. It's built on small moments of giving, learning, and being present with people around you. It's about finding meaning in the everyday, not just waiting for big events. That quiet, steady happiness, that's the real deal. That everything eventually ends. Have you ever really stopped to think about how everything eventually comes to a close? It's a simple idea, but it's kind of huge when you let it sink in. We often hope good times last forever, but the truth is, nothing truly does. Every single thing has a beginning, a middle, and an end. This isn't a new thought. People have been wrestling with this idea for thousands of years. Ancient philosophers, way back in Greece and other places, often observed the cycles of nature. They saw seasons change. They saw plants grow and then wither. They understood that even the biggest empires would one day crumble. It's a deep truth woven into the fabric of existence. It's not just about people or animals. It's about everything. Here's the thing. Think about your favorite TV show. You get so hooked, right? You watch episode after episode. You love the characters and the story. You might even feel sad when you know the final season is coming. And then, it ends. The story is complete. It doesn't go on forever. That ending makes every moment of watching it feel special, doesn't it? You remember the journey. This goes for bigger things too. A battery dies. A school year finishes. Even a huge bright star eventually runs out of fuel and fades away. It's the way the universe works. So, why does this matter? It makes us appreciate the now. It means every laugh, every sunny day, every good conversation, every moment with friends is valuable. Because these moments won't last forever. Understanding that everything eventually ends isn't about being sad. It's about finding value in what is happening right now. It helps us remember to truly live in the present. And that's why it matters. Why it's hard to make everyone happy. Have you ever tried to pick a single movie that absolutely everyone in your group of friends wanted to watch? Or maybe choose a place for lunch where every single person was perfectly happy with the food? It often feels impossible, doesn't it? Here's the thing. Trying to make everyone happy is one of the toughest challenges we face, because each person carries their own universe inside them. Think about it. Every single person you meet has different experiences, different beliefs, different things they like and dislike. What makes one person feel good might make another person feel bored or even upset. This isn't a new problem. Ancient thinkers, like the Greek philosopher Aristotle, spent time wondering about what makes a good life. He noticed that even back then, people had really different ideas about what good meant. One person wanted fame, another wanted money, another wanted to be kind. It showed that even though we're all human, our individual desires are incredibly varied. It's a lot like trying to grow a garden with every type of plant imaginable. Some plants need lots of sun, others thrive in shade. Some need constant water, others prefer dry soil. You can't give every plant exactly what it needs in the same spot at the same time. You have to make choices, and those choices won't be perfect for every single plant. In the same way, we can't perfectly satisfy every person's unique needs or wishes all at once. So, maybe the goal isn't to always make everyone happy. Maybe the deeper lesson is to understand why it's so hard in the first place. It teaches us about how wonderfully complex and different people are. It reminds us to listen, to compromise when we can, and to accept that not every decision will land perfectly for everyone, and that's okay. It's part of the human journey, learning to live with our beautiful differences.